me go to my notes. I got notes because usually I don't have notes, but because you guys are here, I didn't want to miss a thing. And that's my biggest fear right now, is missing something. Like, you only get Sean every once in a while. So when you do have him, you want to make sure that you get all the bases. And one thing that I want to do is make sure that you guys are able to do whatever you want to do, say whatever you want to say, make it as comfortable as possible. So, any way I can do that, please let me know. If we get anywhere, you guys feel like, oh, that's boring, or, Leo, stop talking. This is the only time on my show I'm going to say, please tell me to shut up. This is your show, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, so we got everything on. Main audio's on. Let me get one more test from Scott just to make sure.
Yeah, hello.
Looks like you need more. Okay, let's give you a little bit more.
How about now?
Yeah, it's not so good. Can you get it a little closer to you?
Sure.
All right, try it again.
How about now?
That's much better. All right. And you said your ears are good. You don't.
I'm good.
No issues. Okay. And for you, Sean?
Check.
Oh, he's nice and smooth right now. You getting a girlfriend? What's going on?
Check. No, I'm single.
Are you looking for a girlfriend?
Absolutely. At least for the next few days.
Jeez. All right, you ladies heard it here. Heard it here first. Make sure that's not in the way. All right, we are good to go. Thank God. What's up, Eric? Yeah, you're not here today. There's not enough room for you. This is a special episode. It's not one of the original normal shows.
Eric, I really wanted to meet you too.
That's too bad, Eric. Don't worry. You guys can video chat later. Let's see. Okay, so I want to welcome everybody to Righteous Anger Podcast. This is number 31. Scott, do you remember the episode you were on?
I do.
What number was it?
I'm thinking it was 13 or 17. Am I close?
Was it 13? It might have been 13. I thought it was 7.
Nah, I thought we were in the teens.
It's the one I checked out last night.
Yeah.
It's 1-7.
It's not 1-7.
Come on, guys.
No way. All right, I'll let you guys. I'm gonna have to go back and correct everything now.
17.
It's 17. All right. Well, we'll go with that because he can probably.
Well, you said we were right. This is our show.
Look at me and murder. Yeah. All right.
17.
All right. 17 it is. You know what? It ain't nothing but a number. This show, I have to say, is brought to you by Vicker Studios. All this great equipment. We're trying to do something different. So for all you guys that are checking out the show, you like what you see, you like maybe the quality. Hopefully, there's some of that. A little bit of production value. We are looking at actually expanding out. And if you've got an idea for a podcast show that is a good idea, we'd actually like to help you create that and help you with on the equipment side and the professionalism side. So just give a shout out to hello at Vicker Studios or Leo at Vicker Studios. And the other thing is this show gets paid through a wonderful swag service called Epilogue Apparel, and you can check them out, Epilogue Apparel. You can go to epilogueshirts.com. So there's a couple of different ways to get there. And the loyal listeners of this show put in, RAP10 on the coupon code in your checkout. You get 10% off your entire order, no matter how many you order. So order a lot, you get a bigger discount, obviously. That's about it as far as the boring crap. Now let's get right down to business. Today, I've got the what I would consider the unequaled. It's awkward because I've got two guys here that have basically. It's like if you got a. God, how do you put this? Especially with the whiny kids of today that have never gone through any martial arts or anything, and tell their parents to go F themselves. They don't really understand. But let's say you're not one of those whiny kids and you go to, a real martial arts school or academy. Real meaning that, you're going to get hit. You're going to get better. You're going to get stronger. You're going to cry a little bit, maybe. You're going to bleed a little bit, and you're signed up for something like that. Imagine if two of the guys that own that space are now inside your studio. that's what it feels like right now. Two guys that help shape me, and hundreds, if not thousands, of other people are in the studio today. I've got the pleasure. Now, I usually F this up because I don't know why, but is it Ajan? Ajan. Ajan. He lives in Thailand, so he's got it perfect. Ajan. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We've got Ajan. Ajan. Not a John, we've got a Sean. We've got a Sean. Sean, Fighting Tiger or Hungry Tiger? I've seen both.
Both. Hungry.
In
Thailand. So.
Oh, okay. So Hungry in Thailand and Fighting here in the U.S., Tiger, Douglas. And then we've got another guy who, I don't know, man. If I put you guys together, like the sadistic level, I'm not sure. But it's probably because I don't get to see you as much that I have to say he's crazier. But we might find out differently. I saw
you will.
I think he is.
Nah, yeah.
I mean, like nuts. Like, you know, you're like calculated. I think he's sadistic. You're actually trying to help people.
You're right. You're hitting it.
Okay. He's trying to get a little smile out of his day.
Get that twitch again.
We've got oh God. We've got another Ajan. The great, wonderful Scott Howard, who abused me as a youth, but not in a sexual way.
Yeah, thank you.
Unfortunately,
because I could do better.
So, gentlemen, first of all, I got a lot of questions for you, but I'm not going to try to. I'm trying not to capitalize this. I want to get my questions out of the way. We're going to get their questions out of the way, and then we're going to get some stories out of you guys. All right? Does that sounds good? Okay. My first question is. Can you just explain sort of what it takes to become an Ajan? What it means first, and then what it takes.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably defer to Sean on this. It's a respect factor. You know, Sean is a longtime friend, longtime mentor to me. So my promotion came through him. He owned the rank first. He had the rank first. He got it through. All the government bodies of Thailand. So, as far as what it means to him and why he gave me what he thought I deserved, I'll defer to him.
Well, first of all, I'm a little bit old school with how things have been developed or created here in the West, because we need these titles and things to understand where we're at, especially here. But in Thailand, I'd say naturally you become an Ajan just through putting your time in, spending a lot of time in whatever it is that you're doing. Not just Muay Thai. It's not Ajan for Muay Thai, it's Ajan's a general term.
Oh, like
a professor, a doctor, someone that's put in 20, 30 years of time. Where a crew is just a teacher of anything. A volleyball teacher, a math teacher.
Wow.
So, like all martial arts, it's come over to the West. The Korean Taekwondo, right? The belts, adding belts in. The Okinawan karate, where that was only just 3 belts originally, right? It was a white belt that was soiled because the belt was never washed, and then it became darker and darker because the guy trained, and all of a sudden now he's a black belt. So we structured it, right? Whereas in the East, I think they're not reaching for that kind of thing. They're just putting in the time, and that comes one day, you walk into the gym and the kids are, oh, Lung Shan, meaning like your uncle, you're older, you're getting respect that way.
Lung Shan.
Lung Shan is, I'd rather be called P Shan, which is a younger version of
right? Old man Shan, yeah, basically, okay.
Right? But it's a sign of respect.
Old and wise.
It's also, it's a sign of respect. So I think that started to happen, I can't give you the exact time, but probably the late 90s, maybe early 2000 sometime. Oh, that's way better, by the way.
Thank you, yeah.
In both ears now.
Been trying to figure out my issues here.
But I think if we're going to look at it like where it is and how we're using it today, as far as how it's structured, I think it just takes a lot of, for me, it takes to come over to the motherland and train, to be on the soil where that art came from, spend time there, understand the culture, not just the punching and the kicking and everything that's garnished, the Muay, the rituals. I'm not saying you have to be Buddhist, you know.
Hold on a second. Scott's killing me.
Oh, sorry. Is that me?
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
He's watching his game.
Watching himself, right? The Ramway.
So for me, it's just if we're gonna break it down like other arts have, you know, most like boxing or pugilist styles, there's no structure, there's no forms and katas, and it's a style of. There's a foundation. There's basic things that you're taught,
right?
And then you self-develop. You develop through yourself.
So like saying, it's funny because you mentioned it's very similar to Chinese, because in Kung Fu it just means work and time. You put work and time together, become a sifu of something, right?
Yes.
And it's very pure, because when you know. One of my questions I'm really interested in asking you guys, right? I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and during that time, you know, there was no bullshit out. There was no UFC or what was the dream one in Japan? Oh, brain fart. What was the big UFC?
Pride.
Thank you. Yeah, there was no Pride. There was none of that stuff.
Right.
None of those competitions. And these guys were just able to BS their way.
I trained with many of those guys.
I bet you did. I have too. I've wasted money in some places like that.
Many. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Now, you know, the platform, everything's changed. I mean, ever since there was reality fighting, going in there, Vale Tudo, this type of fighting, you know, it all changed.
It's so much better now.
It's real.
It's real.
It's real.
It's real.
It's, you know, it took a lot of the stuff away that attracted me to the martial arts.
Me too.
You think I didn't want to do the dim mak or learn that?
Dude, I watched.
Or you jump over walls and shit. I mean, come on.
I wanted to be a ninja too, Sean.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, I wouldn't have.
If done correctly, no defense.
Yeah.
Strong ki. Knock a man down with your ki.
The chi thing. I mean, there is. What I've realized through this whole journey is that there is arts for healing and there's arts for combat. It's simple as that. And people just get it mixed up. And it's still out there. There's still guys out. I had a guy come to me in Thailand who is a Wing Chun guy, and I really like parts of that system, and I understand parts of it and how effective it is. But, you know, there's a time and a place for things that this guy was just, he refused to think outside his little box still. And I kind of coddled him a little bit. I felt, you know, it's a real awkward position to be put in.
That is, you have a heart. That's great. So you sized him up a little bit. You're like, yeah. That circular block will totally work.
And
man.
He's coming over to the fight house, and he's wanting to, you know, give his input. It was like Steven Seagal showing up over at Black House.
No. How dare you?
You know,
talk about the great Steven Seagal.
Yeah, he's amazing, man. He's a total ninja.
He'll kill you.
But him and Anderson, you know, tight, and Lyoto, and
what is up with that?
It's just it's more of a respect thing and a fan that they watched his films, they enjoyed, you know. So
which ones? The ones that went straight to DVD or the
original, right? I think Above the Law, right? That's where he was with everyone. And then they're just martial artists. They're real guys. They're not just going to be nasty and abrasive. There's a sign of respect there. They realize that he did put some time in some art, but are they going to take that stuff in the cage? And did he teach him the front kick? Come on, we all know that. But this guy and he just caught me on a bad day. You know, he come in one day and he wanted to show me the chain punching.
Oh yeah, they love. They're talking about, I can punch you 70 times in the chest.
That and just the whole almost 1 inch kind of deal. And you know how he's gonna
cave in your.
And I just had enough that day, and I'm like, listen, you know, and the students weren't around. It was just him and I, so it wasn't like there was a platform to embarrass him or anything. And he was going to show me that. And I said, okay, I'm going to give him 2 shots. Free.
2 free shots.
I'm going to give myself out there. You know, if my chest collapsed, my lungs burst, whatever happens, I'm responsible.
You took the 1 inch punch challenge?
I took it 2 times. And it felt the exact same.
So 2 inches. You took 2 inches.
Yeah, two times. Well, 4 now. Yeah, 2 and 2. But this guy blasted me with everything. And in his defense, he was a really wiry, small guy anyway. He just didn't have a lot of power.
Sorry. I'm sick.
And he went for a ride. I just swept him. Literally, I swept him, and he hit his neck and head, and he laid there for a very long time. I was concerned. And when he got up, you could kind of see that truth rush in, 30, 40 years of believing in one kind of a thing, right?
And being honestly, if you want to find a cult, go to any one of these like traditional, not anyone, excuse me, I don't want to, overblow it, but many of these traditional martial arts places where the students are falling over themselves when the master does stuff.
Jeez, man. This stuff kills me.
Like, guys still try you, right? Like, your own students still try you every once in a while, don't they?
Well, I've recently, in the past, I'd say year and a half, I've really started to take a different approach a little bit. I was very hands-on, very much hands-on. But I kind of took on this role of sponsoring guys, bringing them in, taking care of all the business stuff, which I never...
Oh, my God. Why would you want to do that?
Right. So... It was horrible. Ooh. It was absolutely horrible.
Did you have a nervous breakdown like I did?
Close enough, I'd say.
Jeez.
To where I just lost. I really didn't enjoy what I was doing for a second. And this is all I've done my whole life. I mean, other than spending a little bit of time in the service and some odd and end, always working some jobs to make the gym work early on.
Right.
This is it. It's always been some form of combatives. And I've done it all. I've started in Taekwondo and then Okinawan Tay and just weeded through this process.
Searching for truth.
Just always interested. I was just a geek when it come to martial arts. I wanted to have all of it, but then I love the idea of just customizing things for yourself. Taking a little bit of this and that, and I still do it to this day.
Sort of.
Even that, I do redirecting. I use that in my boxing. I use definitely things, but I've realized the base of that stuff is for wellness. It's for circulation, energy. Yeah. Restore your body. It's like moving yoga. There's a lot of things in Chinese martial arts that it's beneficial, but then people get it twisted.
They get it twisted, and they start getting real magical with it.
Yeah, and they want to iron palm you and.
Have you seen this? I cannot remember the dude's name, but there's this one young white dude name. God, I can't remember his name, but he has a channel. It's like super popular. Combat Tai Chi, I think it's called, and he's like, look at it's hilarious if you ever watch it. I think it was actually on Rogan's show when I heard about it. But this guy will actually, show you the combat applications of Tai Chi, which okay, let's do a little history here on Tai Chi. You know what I mean? Like, did Tai Chi really come from that? I mean, if you're going there, go to like Wudong or the Kung Fu, like from the monks who had to actually. Keep what was it? They were protecting. They were like the national what do you call it? The Secret Service or whatever for people, and they were protecting nobles and things.
They trained like we train. They were the only group of guys in that at the time that actually applied at full contact.
So how long before
with Sanda and San Chao, they're kicking legs and wrestling and grappling. It looks messy and ugly, and it's not even. I mean, we're so much. It's a higher level of MMA and athlete, nutrition.
Oh my gosh.
Everything, all the way across the board. It's crazy.
So do you think that UFC, well, okay, I keep saying UFC, mixed martial arts in general, because UFC, who knows, that might be around 10 years from now, maybe not. Scott and I talked about that. But is that the thing, the great saving force of martial arts? Because martial arts was going down this road in the 80s and 90s, 70s really, 70s, 80s, and 90s, where it was becoming all my favorite martial arts heroes were all actors. All of them. I didn't have one, Chuck Norris, but he was an actor too, you know what I mean? Like, right. But he was a fighter. Bill Superfoot Wallace. I saw some badass fights with Benny the Jet. That's where I first saw Muay Thai for the first time.
Benny the Jet's legit.
Legit. But besides those guys who, they got press or whatever, besides that, you were like, Van Damme. I enjoyed...
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal, yeah. So where did you guys first see Muay Thai for real?
Scott, you want to go first?
Yeah, I saw Chase Walden just jumped on. So I have to say the first time I laid eyes on Chase is the first time I saw real Thai.
Wow, you sucking up to Chase?
Yeah, he opened up a new school. So Grindstone, for all those folks out there who didn't see it. So there's your plug, Chase.
You're going down there, right?
I am going to go down there, and I'm going to go down, try to make it for his grand opening.
There you go. When's that,
Next week, January 4th, I believe.
Get at it. Wow, Chase. You were just on the podcast, man, and you already got it going. Disciple all up in the house. Yeah, we are all up in the house. So, and not to forget Samui Fight House.
Samui Fight House. Now
Samui.
Bangkok Fight House.
Now Bangkok Fight. I'm sorry. You guys just don't stop, okay? I got 4 different shirts from 4 different places that Scott is trained on.
Well, I've got a affiliation down in Samui, but I'm going to be based out of Bangkok, actually just outside near Pattaya. And then
it's badass.
Up in the north where the big boss is, which I would call my Ajahn Pite, he's very much involved in everything in Muay Thai in the country of Thailand.
Really?
Stadiums and all that. And I fought for this gentleman many years ago in Lumpini. And at the time, he was more of an underboss, and you had Sia Ting. Sia Ting was one of the 7 or 12 promoters of Lumpini. And now these guys have adjusted a bit. And that is my A camp. So I've got an A camp, I've got the B camp, which is my base camp, and the C camp. Not to say that the fighters aren't good that are going to the C camp and the islands, but the islands are a starter. It's a place to start and get into fighting, and then you want to work your way to Bangkok.
Did that burn you up, Sean, when you'd see people back when you had Chalong Chai, people saying, "Oh, that's just for Farang and foreigners and tourists and things." Whenever you saw comments like that, I don't know because I've never even been. But
the funny thing is, Phuket, and even then, because of what happened with Muay Thai at that time, that was a big shift, right?
What happened with Muay Thai?
Muay Thai was the national sport of Thailand. You had some people practicing outside the country, mostly in Europe, not in the States. Dutch, of course, but that's even another thing. You're looking at a 90-kilo man, 100-kilo man fighting and going back and claiming that he's beat all the best Thai
What's
people.
A 90? What is that for the?
Too big. It's
huge.
Anybody over 150 pounds.
Wow.
Okay, let's be really honest. 150 pounds and down would be your premier weight classes. Anybody above that, there's a few Thai guys that were very big, but the most competitive weight class in the country would be around 125 pounds.
That's it. Wow.
To 150 pounds.
That's what that's what it's turning into here in the States with mixed martial arts. You've seen all the best guys are smaller guys.
To say you've gone over and you beat all the best, and you come home and you open gyms on all those sort of, yeah, if you're a huge man, you took a system that was designed for very small people, for war, to protect their country. So you give that technique to a large, stronger guy. It's like jiu-jitsu. In the beginning, the little guy beats the big guy, doesn't matter. But all of a sudden, you give the big guy the technique, and they know the same thing. Now the weight does matter. Now the size does matter.
Yeah.
So with kickboxing, Dutch kick, whatever you want to call it, American kickboxing, it's Muay Thai is Muay Thai, right? It all originates. The 8 limbs, the elbows, the knees, no modifications, it's a full art form. So yeah, I don't know where we're at now with all this, but that's the first time that I seen real Muay Thai, or what I thought was classic Muay Thai. I had trained a bunch of styles. I was in the Marine Corps. I was invited to open session, so to speak, behind an armory with a group of freaking tigers, and Lee Dewater and all these guys were knockdown karate guys. Now at this time, a lot of these guys were doing the first K1s, and they were crossing over and getting stuff from Thais like Nortwit Davey. These are guys that were the first Thais to come out of the country, fight foreigners, and show. Like, this was K1 days with just the hand wrapped on, right? In the early days. So, and this is a guy who's small. Nortwit was really small. I mean, this guy's maybe 70, right? And he's fighting heavyweights, and he's defeating them. So a lot of these guys started to adopt some of the Thai boxing stuff, but it really come from the karate, the fighting karate stuff.
Really?
And that's where my base was at, a lot of it. So when I seen these guys come over, and Tommy, I have to give him a lot of respect, because he was a coach for me that really took the stuff that I knew and showed me what worked in a real fight and what didn't. This guy was a wild man.
What was his name? Tommy
Mossman.
Tommy Mossman.
Out of Camp Lejeune, and he lived, and he had a barn, and it had holes in the walls and makawaris up the drive.
Jeez.
And Dennis, I'm sure he's listening to this. Much respect, Sensei. Dennis the Hurricane Lane. And he was one of the first guys that fought Dennis Alexio and these guys. But I trained with one of his main coaches, and Dennis wasn't around much. I met him briefly, but he went off to train with Sugar Ray at Leonard's gym, and he was getting pulled over in the first K1s. You know, some of his friends would be Hoost and
so this is what, early 90s?
Maurice Smith, yeah, 90s. So, you know, and then I started to see the Thai mixture, you know, with those guys. There would be guys in and out that had that style, and I thought, wow, but it wasn't clinching, not much clinching at all. I wasn't exposed to until I was overseas. Even when I had the first gym in Toledo, I think I opened at 23 years old, way too young, but it was more of a way to pull in guys that I could work with to get ready for my own fights.
Hey, tell me about that. Tell me about that spot. Tell me the business side of that. Like, what was all the business stuff to make that happen?
Very little. I got out of the Marine Corps. I said, you know what? I drove out of Lejeune and I said, I'm never taking another order from someone again.
I said the same.
I said
the same thing. and then here I am. And then I go and get a job like 7 years later. But okay, so you stayed with the dream. Okay,
I did.
Good.
And I'm not saying I didn't do things that I had to do for short periods of time and work odd and end jobs and do what I had to do. But I mean, I was doing construction all morning, and I'd come get off, you know, stick framing houses and stuff. And then I'd open the gym, and we'd run 3-hour hardcore sessions. And I was at a totally different space as far as how I approached, you know, coming from Tommy, his method, all conditioning of the bones, boning and shin conditioning, Makawari work, leg tapering, no shin pads. We didn't have the instep pads and stuff. If you had one of those sock guards, you know, that was...
You were doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. So...
Which those don't really do
They don't
much.
do anything. It just separates the pain more, you know? Now it hurts everywhere. So we were in there, and we would run... It was very similar like MMA, because we would play around with wrestling and judo and all that as well. But the first hour was usually just get up and go, and it was a lot of conditioning, but fight conditioning, meaning like we're still hitting each other and tapering the legs and shinning. And then we'd go into like a kickboxing. I wouldn't say it was classical Muay Thai at the time, because I lacked the knowledge in the clinch work. I had basic clinch work. So, but I understood the leg kicks, the putting the punches and kicks together, the elbows.
Right, combinations, no elbow. Oh, so you did use elbows?
Yes, but not all the variations. It was very limited to basic elbow striking.
What did the gym look like? Was it a gym, or did you?
They didn't have mats then, bro. I called Benny the Jet's place to get a long bag, a banana bag, because there was no... Aries was a company out of Jersey, I think, that sent me the first banana bag, they called it, right? The long bag. So I had that in there, and I had golf green indoor carpeting, because I tried to find something that would have a little soft, right? And that just tore your feet off. So the guys had duct tape around their feet. I mean, it was that bad that these guys would show up and duct tape their feet and rot jog for 3 minutes in one direction, 3 in the other, go through endless amounts of line drills. And
sounds like you guys were training in Moscow, Ohio.
There was no...
Did Fedor come over there and help you out?
There was no gym.
Jeez Louise.
That, you know, we were definitely the black seed, or whatever you want to call it.
That's hardcore though, man. That's, you know, you can look back at that and go, yeah, we were hardcore,
I
man.
do. I look at it different ways. You know, I've grown a lot in the way of training a little bit smarter and preserving your body, because I really think longevity is the key. And to be a real, true martial artist, to be good at this stuff, it's not about like taking shots. That's entertainment. That's a huge value for entertainment. But a real good pugilist or a fighter, he hits you, he doesn't get hit. Even in a martial art like Muay Thai, you know, it appears to be right up face to face, but it's very technical. They understand how to absorb that energy by just moving subtly and trapping and catching and sweeping. And
yeah, when you guys taught me before that, you know, I was in traditional martial arts, Chinese martial arts for the most part, Shotokan too, and I would take kicks as hard as you can, right? And, you know, and yeah, we would do that stuff, but when it came down to actually you guys training me for a fight, you said, no, step away from the major impact zone of the kick, you know, with a half moon or something.
Yeah.
so that, yeah, they threw the kick, but there was no power in it. You took it, and now you grab the kick, and now you're raining all kinds of hell on them.
You're in range. You're within range. But what gave Scott and I think, a different, or especially Scott and the guys that came through my place, that hard, crazy conditioning it's hard to do that. You want to keep the body right. You want to get these guys. You don't want them to have them injured for fights. But we were never healthy for fights, really. You know, if we were fighting, we were always damaged. I mean, I think anybody that's really training at that level, and we had fights in the gym a lot. Now, I don't agree with that, but I was younger.
Smokers?
No. I mean, we start to go, and it's, hey, let's go 30%. And then this
100% guy, immediately.
And then nobody steps in, though. It's like, we're going to sort that out. Let them sort that out.
Right.
And now where I would probably jump in and control that environment a lot more to save everybody a lot of, you know, but that gave us, or these guys, an edge, a toughness that I don't see when things get really hard for a fighter.
Right.
Not just, you know, physically, oh, I'm tired, but like pain, right, and these other things that you can develop in a military setting, or if you're fortunate enough to go out and you go on that 29-mile death march and you check out 100 times, but you know, if you don't make it, everybody's going to just, you know, harass the hell out of you, and you're not going to get a weekend off. So there's all these consequences, and you just build these, like, you keep going over these mountains. And these guys went over so many mountains in the gym night after night.
The fight was nothing.
The fight was just, we enjoyed turning up at one of these little bars or wherever they were hosting these shows at the time, including myself in a warehouse or wherever it may be.
Sorry, I did it again.
And looking over at the team that we're going to, you know, it was very different. Now it's a very humble approach. You know, I look at boxing and fighting different than I did then. But these guys went through wars, hundreds and hundreds of rounds of, you know, breaking fingers and knuckles and noses. And
who's the craziest? Do you remember?
Oh man, I'd have to say, it depends on what you're looking at as far as crazy. But Scott was up there with the top three. This guy walked in the door and wanted to glove up, you know.
Yeah, I believe it.
He wanted to glove up, and
besides Scott,
I was getting ready for a fight. I had some hard workers, but crazy. A lot of the crazy guys didn't stick long.
Really?
They went through this phase, you know, and I think they were empowered by it, and they would somehow, life would take them out of martial arts.
Oh, man. Yeah, I know what that is.
Nah, a lot of these guys jumping off. Hey, Chris, it was great to see him on there.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, you know, we trained hard back then, but the thing was that the bar was the Shamrocks. You know what I mean? And schools like that, you don't know what you know today. You know, so you thought that you had to go emulate.
Shamrocks like Ken Shamrock?
Yeah, I mean, you trained, you know, move that rock, punch each other in the face. That was what you knew about fighting at that point. And not to mention, you're talking demographics. So we're in Toledo, it's mini Detroit. You know, it really is. And the guys there, a lot of guys with chips on their shoulders, a lot of blue-collar workers, and they're working 12, 14-hour days, and then they're coming in there. And these are hardened guys. You know, this is not Loudoun County. It's not Fairfax. You know what I mean?
Pipe fitters, construction guys.
Just another
welders,
another
block work.
Another dig at a soft DMVers.
Listen, you know,
you should have opened up a school in the hood, man. You would have seen a whole different echelon.
Well, the thing is, you know, there's people here, but you know, most of the people here that have that mentality. You got guys like, you know, I'll say Neil Johnson, Neil Grimes,
freaking A. Anybody look up this dude. He's about 70 years old.
Neil, I want to give you a special thanks. We know what you're talking about. Okay.
What, did he get you a girl?
No, he's just awesome. The guy's just awesome.
Well, tell him to step it up. Get you a girl. Hey, listen, let me do something real quick, okay? We're going to take a quick break. You stay right where you are, Sean. Scott, I'm going to switch your chair because I gave you a loud chair on accident, okay?
Oh, am I moving too much here?
Oh, yeah.
Is that me?
Yeah.
I thought your baby was crying or something.
Dude, I thought you were doing something else.
All right, so
I didn't want to say anything.
So
I need a little bit more time.
So we're gonna take a quick break. Everybody, stay right there. I'm just grabbing a different chair. Scott, let me get that chair.
Sure.
Here, stand up for a second.
It does sound bad.
Here, man. Let me help you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Poor guy. Here, let me.
Watch the booby traps.
Yeah, we got punji sticks and everything. No.
I didn't realize that was me making all that noise.
No worries. That's why I had a feeling that this chair was gonna be a problem. I got to oil it.
Just working it out.
Dude, I'm trying.
One beer in and you're working it out. I'm like, easy.
I'm getting an ab workout right now.
Now I'm warming up. Go shed this. Am I allowed to move there, Leo? Allowed to move for a second here?
Yeah,
It's all
please.
good. I didn't need that knee, bro.
You retired, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, all right, we are
Is outside?
ready to rock and roll. Yeah, it was. Sorry, it's a little cold. Yeah, I wasn't sure if we would have 4 people here or not, so I'm always ready. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We are back. Scott was talking about. Scott, you were talking about how pussy everybody in the DMV is.
Yeah, I didn't say that. It's kind of true, but I didn't.
It's totally true.
It's just a different mentality out here, you know, and it really was. You know, back in Toledo, we all came in there, and every guy going in there had the same, like literally, you know, you remember Junior.
Hell yeah.
Everybody went in there like Junior. You know, everybody went in there like a Rick Humphreys, you know what I mean? And we worked. And when I went in, Sean was training for a U.S. title, right?
Yeah, I think it was ISKA.
Yeah, so Sean, he was training for U.S. title, and I was a little bit lighter back then than I am today. But he's looking for sparring partners, and you know, I'd never done traditional Thai before.
What was it before that?
I got a black belt in Taekwondo, and then I took military combatives. I took Hapkido, went through law enforcement training, started working some ground stuff. But I was used to leg kicks, just not.
Had a nice sidekick.
Yeah, I use a sidekick to push people up. Surprisingly enough, I much better stretch back then. But taking a leg kick with somebody's foot versus
Shin.
taking it to the shin was a different world, you know. And
Wakes you up.
so when we started training, and a lot of the stuff I did with my hands, it was much more Taekwondo, much more. I let them fly a little bit too much. I pulled a lot, you know, these punches back for more power, and that's actually it's the only time I've ever been knocked out was by this guy.
That's the only time you've been knocked out?
That's the only time ever. Almost in that last fight. I was almost sleeping in that last fight.
When are you going to get him back?
Nah, dude, he's always going to be faster.
I was hoping he forgave me for that.
He's always going to be a little faster. But nah, you know, so that was, I mean, that first probably 3 to 4 weeks is what endeared me to it.
Tell me about, okay, so what brought you to his door?
I wanted to do something, you know, you know, back in that age, you know, I was always rated in Taekwondo, you know, and that was the thing back then. You know what I mean? Like, that was the big thing. There was no, you know, people now go, Taekwondo guy. Well, there was no UFC. You know what I mean? And there wasn't any big shows. When we were beating each other up by full contact, you know, that was the big thing. You know, you talk about Superfoot Wallace and all those guys.
Yeah.
That's what we did. So going out here, I didn't know much about Thai, and you know, I saw these guys in there. Honestly, thought I was gonna just go walk through everybody. I was
Whoa, stop for 1 second. What brought you in the door? Was it a pamphlet? Did you know a guy? Like, how did you know to go in there?
There was an ad. I forgot where the ad was actually. I just answered an ad. It was like there was some flyer.
I do.
We
I
need
remember
someone
you coming in. It was off of I think I did one of these money mailer things, but I also there was a guy you knew from Monroe, Scott, I think it was. I was asking him. I needed looking for sparring partners. I think you were working with. I don't know.
That's
one of them. Many.
Was that Dean, right? Was it Dean that was up there?
That
was
was.
up?
I was up at, but I don't think you were done with Fermi at that time.
Yeah, I don't.
I think you were already working with some other stuff. But yeah, I mean, you come in and it was to take classes, but you were, I think, more interested in just getting in there and doing some rounds. That's just how I remember it. I think you trained a bit. I feel like I held off for a while, and you just nagged at me to get in there with me.
Actually, I remember the conversation because I was offended by it. He said I asked him like I came in here specifically to spar and you know, to fight, and you got this thing coming up, this U.S. title. That's why I came in here. Like, let's go in. I remember Sean telling me, I remember this because it's etched in my head because it gave me a case of the ass. He's like, I like you and I don't want to hurt you.
Oh, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
That really must have gotten your craw because
still, obviously it's 20 years later.
You dream about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we see what happened, don't we?
Yeah.
No, I did give him the option. I was like, listen, you know, and at this time, a really different mentality. I really liked guys that I really looked up to, even like Mike Tyson, in his training methods that when you went in, you geared up, you know, you put the headgear and all that, but you tried to put the guy through the canvas. You had to feel that type of energy release and exchange to really understand and be ready for a fight so you didn't adrenaline dump. And all of a sudden I did 13 weeks and why do my legs feel like lead and I can't move? It's 30 seconds in. It's a horrible experience. It can deflate your self-esteem, your ego. I mean, it can just deflate you as a fighter, the belief in what you can do, you know? In the gym, you can kick the bag thousands of times. You get in the ring, 10 kicks. Whew, you know, you're breathing different. So I was trying to bury these guys, but I was honest. I wasn't just setting them up, you know? I'd bring them in. If they were strong guys, they're all bigger than me, weight-wise. And, you know, they were gamers. So I'd try to give them a good foundation and a base, at least good enough to give me work.
To give you some training.
And that was the whole network. I mean, a lot of these guys weren't paying for classes and stuff. It wasn't a big business. When I left the Marine Corps, I was like, look, I don't want to do that anymore. This sounds really easy. I had a high school education. I mean, sophomore year, I dropped out. I went in the Marine Corps on a waiver. I finished school after the fact.
I didn't know that.
No business education. No,
you didn't miss much, don't worry.
All I learned is from trial and error. You know, I opened up the gym. I had no idea what it took. It was easy to get a business license. It was easy to do all that. You know, we had a family friend. She was an accountant. Bing, bing, bing.
Where'd you get the money?
We're all set up. I got my first loan from the Catholic Credit Union in Toledo, Ohio. They gave me $5,000, and that's what I started that gym on. There was a former Marine who owned the buildings. He took a liking to me when I went and looked at the space. He gave it to me for I think it was $500 a month back then.
Jeez.
And we tore it up, and I lived in the back of the space.
There you go.
And I felt like this is my world right here.
When's the movie coming out?
We're working on the book right now. And
let me know when you want to do the movie.
And yeah, I'm sure that would be something that we could look at following. But this project's been going on for years, this book thing. And I left for Thailand again, and now I'm living there for 5 years on an island. So I'm taking a trip to LA after I leave here with the Disciple crew. And I'll be in LA with Marcus Koval and teaching there. And at Black House, I'll stop in and see Kenny Johnson from Bolt Wrestling and these guys. We'll be working together overseas as well. So then I'm going to look and start to push this book thing again. Please
do, because there's, you know, you don't read much, do you?
No.
Yeah, most people don't. And the book is important because I think people are starting to read more because you go online nowadays and everybody's talking about, hey man, what did you read this book? Did you read this ebook? People are getting more access to education thanks to the internet. And I would say do the book first. Get all the information out there that needs to get out there from the years of experience that you got. And then after that, I would say definitely, you know, consider optioning some of the stories that hopefully that we're going to hear today into something that people can watch. Because back in the day, it was like we said, it was Van Damme, it was Schwarzenegger, it was these guys, Bruce Lee, who we followed, and now it's like the real stories online. It's so wonderful that now I can watch great film. I watch stuff from Thailand all the time, and I don't even live there.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm there because awesome video happening all the time. You guys are getting on your video game, I've noticed, which is great.
We're starting to. I've been a little bit behind. I was just never big at feeling like I needed to go out and promote my stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I came from like an old school where, you know, someone else would do that. You kept yourself humble. You kept your students humble. You know, even though we were tough in house, we kicked the shit out of each other. We didn't go around and act like assholes. We didn't go around and push our weight around. You know, yeah, we've got crazy stories. Usually it comes down to some drinks and bad timing. I'm gonna
need you guys. I think this is bad timing. I think you guys, can I get your drinks back, please? Can you guys no? Come take it from Sam Adams. Okay, so let me let me get on to another question that I have, and then actually let me see what's being said here. Okay. Tim J says, I'd be real interested in the grind, what it takes to make a run in Muay Thai, the struggles and the bad lessons learned over the years. Okay. No problem, Tim. We'll go with that. So the grind of Muay Thai, what are some of the lessons you guys learned, some of the issues that have come up that you can help the younger guys with? First, don't be a pussy from Northern Virginia. Got it. Next.
Go for it, John.
I tell you, I think so many people are big into the instructional side of things, and what they miss is the coaching aspect. So you got to really know to get the most out of people. It can't be the way that we used to train. You can't just go in there and go, everybody just go beat everybody's ass. We're going to do hard cardio. We're going to condition. We're going to go into these fights 80%. Because both myself and Sean can tell you right now, I mean, I'm on my 3rd knee surgery. He's should have had probably 10 by now.
Yeah. And you guys aren't even 50, right?
No, I got neck fusion, C4 to C7's fused, smashed my nose, broke my orbital, you know what I mean? Like, that stuff, it adds up, and we don't even know what the 80 looks like. You know what I mean?
Can't even imagine at this point.
No. I mean, you just helped me out of a chair, and we laugh about it, but I needed help. I just had another surgery 3 months ago, so.
Pride? You look at that, like, is that a point of pride for you, or?
No, I don't think it's a pride thing. I think
No, I don't mean you're prideful. I'm saying, do you look at your injuries like war wounds, or do you look at it like, damn it, why did I do that?
I'd say a little bit of both. The thing is, I don't have to. Sean was talking about staying humble, and I don't answer to anybody as far as that stuff goes. I don't. They're mine. I earned them. I own them. And anybody that has been along for the ride, they understand why I have them. Those are the ones. I care what he thinks. I care what There's a handful of other people. I care what they think. So I don't have any pride as far as. No, I have them because I worked hard. What I have is good stories. And we talked about this before. And I'll never turn any of those in. Those are invaluable to me. So if I have a knee surgery and I have a good story that went with it, or I've had a knee surgery and I built 4 or 5 champions and got a fight in Thailand when I was 43, then I have these stories forever. Nobody can ever take them back.
Yeah, you're right.
So if you look at other guys out there in their 40s, what do they have? Are their grandkids going to seek them out when they're 70 to hear and sit on their lap to hear a cool story? Or are they going to go, well, his grandpa and he's drooling on himself?
That's a huge wake up. That's a huge wake up call for anybody, but definitely people that are probably closer to my age, right? I'm in my mid 30s, and I'm looking at what's my legacy and what am I doing? Are you doing something right now where you hate life and you're just basically trying to get through the day so you can get to another day? Or are you, like you said, making the stories that are going to be the things you look back with, in pride and smile back on?
I think I can speak for Sean here too. Is we've it's the same cloth, different pattern, and how we're going about doing things. And we trained together for a long time, and then I came to DC probably 3 years into it. Never lost contact, and we said we're going to actually start something down here. We're going to put on these shows. So in 2001, 2002, after, a few events in Toledo, we started doing shows down here. We started working on stuff together. But the big picture was, he was going to Thailand. He was going to make his mark there. And
he didn't realize that, though, because I was listening to a video that I shot of you.
Yeah.
Years ago, I think it was like 2009, where you said, I left for
2-week trip
and stayed there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Sean is whether he believes it or not, Sean is one of those guys, and I'd love to sit here and people can think what they want as far as blowing smoke up his ass.
Nobody thinks that. Come on.
Yeah, you know, but some people do.
Make me want to try that over there.
Everybody has their. Everybody likes to be a critic, but in any case, he has the drive, he has the motivation, and he was going to push. He was going to do well over there. If at an earlier age, if he had any kind of guidance in this sport, he would be the guy that you'd be looking at on screen right now, or he'd be the legend that you'd be following right now.
Wow, dude, that's.
And I wholeheartedly believe that. As far as
you're just blowing smoke up his.
yeah,
like
listen,
this stuff right
you know, listen, all those people out there who have not seen him train before, who have not stepped across him. You know, I can name guys. I can, you know, you talk about Rick Humphries, you talk about Sam Yosefi. You know, I remember Sam, you know, stayed with me for a couple of years. And Sam is one of the guys in this area, you know this as well, toughest fighters in this area.
Heck yeah.
And probably the best hands. They went 3 rounds, and Sam came back to me afterwards. He goes, I never hit him once. Not one time did I hit him.
And these guys were really, really giving me a lot of respect even then. But I appreciate that, Scott. I feel like I was always a better coach than ever a fighter. But I feel like when I was coming up through my little journey, that I just wanted to coach the way I never was coached. Not to take anything away from the guys that gave me information and knowledge. I don't think I took a holiday out of the Marine Corps unless it was to go somewhere for another excuse to pick up more stuff off someone. You know, I went and stayed out with Kung Lee for a while.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was the guy that
Sancho
turned me pro, right? So officially, unofficially, I was getting ready for Shidokan, which was like your transition fighting, 2 rounds bare knuckle, 2 rounds kickboxing, 2 rounds no holds, right? Where, you know, you could grapple and everything. And a lot of the guys came up through that, you know, in the knockdown karate scene. But I never ate, my nutrition was never squared away. I never had any of the knowledge about that. It was very old school. You get up, you run, you do your road work.
Did you do the egg yolks though? I bet you did that.
I did do it.
That's a big Thai thing.
Ajahn Pite, thank you. If you're watching, we'll translate this for you, Ajahn. And he'll laugh because when I stayed at Sang Sawan Pampla, translation the fish farm, that was with Sia Ting and Pite. This is a legendary gym in Bangkok. They produce Lumpini champions. I was the only Farang to come through there.
Really?
And the first to come through there. And that was through contacts and connections with my former, you know, with my ex-wife. She was Thai from the Isan region. And her family had tons of history of boxing. So that's how that all happened. And then I went off and opened the largest facility in the world today. And I won't say I built that, but I will say that Tiger Muay Thai was my little baby. Okay, I had 2 guys approach me in a gym, Rawai Muay Thai, where I was training for my first fight in Surat Thani, and then I stayed. I told you a little bit about that story. But yeah, that was a gym that guys laughed about. You know, I picked a place in Chalong, away from all the tourists, off the main road. There was just rubber trees and a coconut tree plantation. Chalong Chai came way after that. Oh. Chalong Chai was I'm really upset with this situation. They're not going to pay me anything. Things got pretty corrupt.
That was a bad business situation for you, right?
It was a big learning situation for me. I was a kid from Toledo, Ohio, had a lot of dreams. I was over there chasing a bit of a dream, living in a Thai gym, like no money coming in, none of that, on a tourist visa.
Wow.
Okay. And then I get these guys coming in that were students of Rawai that saw me and said, wow, you know, I can learn from you something. You know, so there was a lot of stuff going on at that time. I was young. I don't think the Thai guys were accepting that at the point. And looking back, I didn't have all that knowledge, but I had good hands. When I went over there, I had good boxing skills. So once I started to figure out how to check properly and time things to get inside those kicks, I was successful if I knocked my opponents out. If I didn't, I was going to lose on points.
Wow.
But
so it was a roll of dice. Every time you went in there, it was like, I got to knock this guy out.
Until much later. Wow. You know, until a guy that I respect, you know, Crew Egg, I don't know if he's still around these days. You know, he's got a crazy life. It got crazier. But this is a guy that served a long time in the Bangkok Hilton for some stuff, and he got out and he missed a big part of his career.
He's talking about jail, by the way.
Who missed a big part of his career and was known for some vicious stuff. And he come around into Phuket. This is when I split to make the gym. It kind of put a big wedge between me and the former gym I was fighting with. and I was kind of asked to leave, and other things happened, and it got really rough. Well, this guy turns up, walking into the gym one day, looking for someone he's going to put a little meat hook into, because some guys, you know, might have paid him or whatever the case. I don't get too much into all that. But Egg and I, one day, I fought a guy named Pet Money. There was a lot of money on the fight. Everybody was, hey, Sean's going to win this for sure. There's a lot of money. Siamu, the promoter. I get in there, and this is a fight I lost in Bangla. And this guy's kicking, and within the first round, it was a fight that I'll never forget, because when I came in the stadium that night, I felt like I just wasn't up for a war, you know? I just felt like, man, I'm here again. It was just one of those off nights. And he's kicking me. The shoulder kind of drops. I feel like maybe a dislocation.
Oh, jeez.
The Gamagan, or the referee, steps in. He waves the fight quick. Everybody's thinking, I'm you know, hey, did this guy throw the fight? And throw the fight, you know? But Siamu, these guys have been watching me train for it. You know, these guys are masters of matchmaking. This will be a good battle, but we think we can put this money here, wherever it is, you know? So it was a war, but yeah, it still haunts me to this day. You know? But Pet Money, that was another like huge learning thing, because I walk out, I'm sitting on the bench, I'm sweating, I'm defeated, and Egg comes over to me and he goes, wow, if I fight Muay Thai like you, I never fight again. And I look at him like, oh. He's kind of giving me this like respect and love, but at the same time he's like, listen, man, you fight like you're fighting like a buffalo, you know. And I used to just walk, you know. I just hear my wife's voice, walk, just walk, you know. If you back up an inch, you start to lose. So I would take a lot of punishment, but I'd just keep pressing until I could wear my guy down and get to him, until Egg shows up like Bruce Lee one day with a stick, and he's having me jump over it and dodge it. Looks like some kickboxer shit. And he starts to show me this elusive, amazing way to fight, where he's just close to you. But, you know, the stuff we were talking about, half moon turns, catches, traps, sweeps, a mate push kicks to the face, just a really different approach.
That's great that I started training with you guys after that realization.
Well, see, now, John here still has that very much ingrained in how he teaches and how he would apply. Not that it's wrong, but there's a strong style, very strong. All Muay Thai is strong, but there's different styles. If you look up in Isan, the north, the diet, everything's different. And these guys it's a poorest part of the country. Much of them are rice farmers or just very hard labor. They're strong guys. And the technique is not there, but the strength is insane. And these are the guys that fight for 6 years, 8 years, their career's done. But everybody knows them and everybody loved them. Ramba, guys like that, they just walk and just trade. Jung Sana, the wooden man. I mean, if you ever watch his elbow fight, he stands for 5 rounds from 1 to 5, and they give each other elbows. You know, full on, like, destruction style, right? And then you got guys with a little bit more in the south, I would say, because the tourism, the land's worth a lot, the beaches, so these guys would... Northern
Virginia of Thailand.
So the style is a little like, hey, these guys are more chill. They're not training 8 hours a day. They're training, they do the run in the morning. They kick, you know, so they have to have a genius mind of tactical, because their body can't absorb that.
Honestly, from what I'm hearing, I'd rather train that way. I'd rather train the smart...
I think having the two, that's what we get back to about the gym, Fitness and Fighting Arts Center. That gives you the phase of like, you're a buffalo, you're hard, you're strong. There's nothing you haven't felt inside the gym that's going to happen to you in a ring or outside in the road. It's all going to happen there. Just like in the military, you go through that gas chamber, you go through these things so that your body doesn't freak out, right? And it's important. But, okay, how much should we do that?
How much, exactly.
Right?
Like,
so now we understand, okay, that's what we're missing now, though. If we train that way at all, longer than a month, you're going to lose half your enrollment. Everybody's going to call you're abusing your students, blah, 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 all this stuff. But that's the fine line with each individual. You got to know that as an instructor.
Oh my gosh.
As a coach, you got to know that individual, pull that from it, and know how far you can push him and develop that, and then give him that classic, beautiful style so that he can preserve his body,
right,
and he can leave the sport with his faculties and, you know, his body not chewed up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That, you know, I like that though. I like the fact, you want some of that?
No, thank you.
I like the fact that that you guys kind of went through that just as a lover of martial arts. You know, I've been in the martial arts since I was 2. I am like you guys as far as it's not just I want to be a badass and all, you know, all this alpha type stuff. It's actually like I want to learn about the roots of it and the history, and I want to be in it, you know. I something about the fact that you guys have that balance, even though maybe you guys weren't like consciously looking for the balance over the years, you're forced to find the balance.
Sean has that balance. I don't have it.
Well, yeah, we already established all that.
And I appreciate Chris. Thank you. Chris is one of the best kept secrets in the DC area.
Chris Tyre?
Yeah. So if you guys don't know who he is, a great guy, great instructor. But yeah, I don't know if it's injuries or just stubbornness. Sean is Sean is great in his instruction and his fighting style because he can adapt. He can adapt to anybody, you know. So he can use speed. He's got good head movement. He's got very good boxing. Very strong for his size. You know, like he didn't fight like a 30, 35, he fights like a 60 to 70. You know, so.
You're talking about weight.
Yeah,
he fights like a bigger guy.
He hits hard. I mean, it's very hard. I don't have his elusiveness. I'm there. I'm a pressure burst pipes guy.
Yeah.
You know, so Sean's very
I don't know,
good.
man. That Elvis stanky leg thing you do is kind of elusive.
Yeah, no, that's because I almost got knocked out. That's what that was. That wasn't offensive. That was me probably taking a nap. But
he's got this nasty. I don't know what he's talking about. He's got this nasty thing where he shakes his like front leg.
Yeah.
And then you're like waiting for something to happen. You don't know.
Snake charmer.
Is that what you call it?
A snake charmer.
that's me trying to get the bone back in joint.
Oh yeah.
Shaking his leg back in the socket.
You observe the Buddhist way of life. Yes or no?
Yes.
Are you a religious guy as far as Buddhism goes?
I'm an interested guy.
Okay.
I'm an interested question asking. It depends on the day you catch me on all this. You know, I can go with your boy over there and go atheist style. I can go whatever style. But here's what it is for me, just to make it real simple. I don't get too long-winded on this. But first I see some Sakyan. Sakyan's traditional tattooing. It comes from a long time ago, animist, blah, blah, blah. I see Muay Thai. I see the Ram Muay. All this stuff, just like any style, if it's Japanese, Chinese, that's so much in the culture, you're not just exposed to like the fighting style. You're gonna start to see a lot of the religion that it's garnished in.
Yep.
So with that, like any martial art geek, I want to understand all that stuff because I believe that if you eat like they're eating, you sleep, you train like they do, then you can get to that level, or you can try, you can hope to.
Yeah.
So it was more about that. And then through some experiences that happened to me along the way, that's why I'm covered in it, right? It's a big part of me. It's all
Buddhist prayer tattoos.
Yeah, it's all done traditionally, and I accept the ink, the yant, and it gives me a direction. So I think when I was a fighter coming up, and I was born, as Catholic, this whole thing, but I never had some attachment to it. As a kid, no one wants to go to church, no one wants to do this, no one wants to do that.
Right.
So, but I would watch boxers, and they after the fight, they'd do the sign of the cross, or they'd kneel in the corner, and I thought, am I missing some part of this whole thing? Like, if I had some of that, would I be a better fighter? And it was always in the back of my head, but the whole like Christianity, it just that wasn't attractive to me, because it wasn't exotic enough. So when I see the robes and the Shaolin stuff, I just thought that was all Buddhism. I didn't know the differences of it. So all that, I was drawn to it. And then when I went to a wat or a temple, it was just this really calming, and I was much more at an accepting place where I wanted to listen what they had to say or understand it. So it was just that time in my life, and I got heavily into it. But not, I'd say Buddhism is like animist and stuff that was before that, and like a lot of the magic and the superstitions and the katas, the magic spells. And
Are we talking Thai religion?
Yeah,
Really?
and Cambodian and Lao and this
Really?
whole
So
region.
Southeast Asian animism.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never studied that. I don't know anything about it.
So, I mean, that's really, because it's just like you'd say, you know, voodoo, you see like the Virgin Mary there on the shrine, but it has nothing to do with that. Those symbols are symbols with different meanings that they have there, right?
Right.
So, like, yeah, the Sakyant, you know, a lot of it comes from the Khmer, Cambodia, Laos, right, into Thailand. And so that has helped me in my life in a lot of ways to take the right direction, maybe, you know, to find something that, and I'm not going to believe in all this stuff that I can't see and feel and touch, but I have to just go off of my life experience.
Okay.
For instance, I'll give you one example. I see a body cremated, okay, in a village. The guy passes away. They wash the head in coconut water. It's pure water to purify the body. And they burn the body. Well, where the yants were, where there was heavy tattooing, the skin wasn't burned, right? It was preserved. It was there. So among the little villagers are sitting there. Oh, so a woman goes off and she's menstruating. She takes a rag and she douses that in blood, and she goes over to the body the parts aren't burning, and she wipes it on the yants and takes the magic from the yants, and then the body will burn. So witnessing this, there could be many scientific reasons why or whatever was going on, but for me at that moment, I was like, wow, I'm really interested in this, like this armor,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And then through the fighting, I was getting yants and tattoos put on, and whether it was in my head or whatever, any faith, anything that you believe that strongly in can be very powerful, right? Yeah. So I'm realizing that my body's not damaged in certain areas that the yants are at, and this and that. So it starts to consume me, like I want to know some dark stuff.
Do you believe it?
I believe that it gives me power within.
No, you know it gives you power because you just said, at least, if nothing else, placebo effect, something in your brain's happening, right? But where are you as far as like, these actually are doing something on a metaphysical level?
Man, it's like the dim mak. I want to think.
You want to believe it.
It's so much that I do.
But you don't want to be a fool.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
So there's a part of me in my brain that says, oh, but there's a part of me that's covered in it because aesthetically, I love it. It does something for me. It gives me energy. And I love what it's based in. I love what it's about and where it comes from and the origins, and I'm a big traditional geek, you know. I want to preserve things. I want to see things stay a certain way that they are, especially in an art or like Muay Thai that hasn't changed much in 2,000 years because it works. Like, don't fix something that's not broken.
2,000 years, as long as many traditional martial arts, if not most traditional martial arts, right? I mean, like, I think Kung Fu is like 4,000 or 5,000 years old or something like that. I don't remember, but I know it's thousands of years old, right? And yet you got guys in mixed martial arts right now that are swearing, this is what I use. This is my stand-up.
Yeah.
And they've only been doing it forever. I mean, like you said, it ain't broke. Don't fix it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But you do, I was thinking about this before our interview today. You had guys like Bill Superfoot Wallace. Hold on one second. Oh, wait. Scott, remember Bill Superfoot Wallace for me.
Got it.
Make sure we're still going. Sorry, guys. A little production pause here. I'm going to have to give it another slap. Is this one rock and roll? This one's rock and roll? Yeah, this one's good to go. Good. Okay. All right, I'm giving it another slap. Slap. Okay. Sorry about that, guys on Facebook. Okay. Bill Superfoot Wallace had this thing where he goes, I forget which kick it was, but I think it was the roundhouse kick. He had like this combination he would do. It was tried and true, and it was like, I don't know, it was some hand combination and then a roundhouse kick. That was like his tried and true. And they would, a lot of people would say, oh man, you know, what about this technique? What about that technique? And, you know, go down the list of the hundreds of techniques you could learn and master. And it's like, yeah, but that's not what wins the fight for him. It's like that old Bruce Lee saying, what is it? The guy who learned one kick 1,000 times is way more dangerous than the guy who learns 1,000 kicks once, right?
Yeah.
So for you, right, what is that technique? What has been that technique, and how have you had to change it?
The tip, the teep.
Really? So like it's basically a push kick.
But I use it like a karate guy would, a knockdown guy with the ball kick mixed in with the traditional push kick. Or I'm sorry, the teep. You know, we got all these other versions
Martial
of what we call
arts.
it. So,
Yeah.
But the teep, you know, it saved my life. I mean, this technique negates almost every technique in Muay Thai.
Because what the guy will do is he will load up and come at you, and as he's coming at you, you disrupt his forward movement.
Yeah, yeah. And just getting really good because of the knee damage and the dislocations and all the issues I had, I couldn't turn my hips and rotate. If the guy would trap my leg, it's coming out. So I started to use just these straight lines, you know. And I also ripped all the ligaments in my right arm. It was stuck for 6 months to my body.
Jeez, what a mess.
And I just tape it there, and I started to develop my left side. And from this, I got really good timing. To this day, I mean, that technique is just my bread and butter.
And you're able to do it like a tip pretty much, excuse me, pretty much anywhere on the body.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you've kicked me in the face, and I thought you were going to kick me in like the shin or the knee or something.
Yeah, and at a really close range. Actually, I was teaching this today earlier to the boys. And there's just different variations of a tip, you know, and how you use it defensively, offensively, and how guys are closing distance. There's a lot of variations, but that was one of the ones that I'd say is probably the best technique that I left the sport with. Mm-hmm. And still I use, you know, I mean, it sets up tons of things. I find it doesn't push over to the MMA thing as well. It works okay, but with that set of rules in Muay Thai and you know, without that Division I wrestler deciding to just go through your leg, I feel like the push kick, it's effective, but the one I'm talking about is very effective for kickboxing.
And bar
Muay
fights.
Thai.
Come on.
Sure, but
in a
not
bar fight?
Not a determined, good, you know, level MMA guy that wants to just penetrate through the target.
Let me ask you a question, Sean. How many determined MMA level guys are picking fights with you at the bar?
Yeah, I don't.
Not surprised.
Really, a lot?
Not determined MMA guys, but yeah, you can lie all you want right now.
It's regular guys.
I've been out there, so.
Okay, it works well. The tip works well. But
I'm laughing because anytime I ever hear any stories about in the bar fighting, it's always some dude just got off of, just punched his clock, went to the bar, you know, no training, and he's messing with the wrong guy.
We weren't hanging out in bars all the time. Let's just get that straight. But Scott and I had this, you know, when we met, we trained together for a while. He branched off and he was, you know, down here. You know, so when we would get together, it's like it is right now. It's always going to be some sort of event because we're going to catch up on time. We're going to go have a few drinks. We're going to get out and about and have some fun. And it just seemed like these guys had really bad timing.
These guys being the a-holes that would try to pick fights with you guys?
We were never, honestly, I mean, on my mom, you know, we're not out there looking for trouble, but trouble would just, when it was there, we invited it to a degree. Were you guys grinning?
I never, and this is no lie, I never invited it. So people would come up. I would usually turn away.
Why are you sweating like a whore in church?
I'm not sweating.
He's the one that ended up getting his hands dirty most of the time.
Yeah, but I can tell you this: I was not the one going. Are you going to let him get away with that? I was not that guy.
I did instigate things slightly.
Yeah, so
it was kind of my MO.
There's no doubt that.
But the school of thought I came from,
like a bad
Tommy Mossman, we were encouraged to apply because again, there wasn't promotions and all that did that. We would go to the Indian reservation to fight because we could throw low kicks and stuff. That was in Lumberton and places like that. So that's, you know, he was like, hey, he wanted us to work in clubs, doors, anywhere we could put ourselves in those situations so we could apply and know what was real.
Oh, as bouncers.
Yeah. I mean, I was in the Marine Corps. We were moonlighting. We've done events. We did stuff in Raleigh. We did stuff all over the Carolinas. But So with these guys, a lot of that came with me with my first gym. If we're out and about and some kind of trouble approach, it was expected of these guys to take care of it.
You're doing people a favor too, to be honest with you. And I see my younger brother up there laughing. So Adam's on there right now because he was in Toledo with us for a good bit of this.
Was he there for the hammer and the hammer incident?
We had a guy with a hammer and knife. That's a different story though. But if you're doing,
don't forget that story, by the way. We're going to talk about that.
You know, you think about it and you go, you try to avoid this stuff the best you can. But if somebody pushes the issue, it's almost a duty to give them what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Because if they do it that easily to you, how many people have they done it to in the past?
That couldn't do anything about it.
Absolutely. And how many people are going to do it in the future if you let them get away with it?
So kind of like that.
We were early on the bullying campaign.
I was about to say there was a show that that one mixed martial arts had. I forget the name.
Bully Beatdown. Yeah.
Bully Beat. You guys were Bully Beatdown in Toledo way back in the day.
Before Mayhem. Before Mayhem Miller.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, we had fun.
So how many times did you guys go to jail after that?
To jail?
Because you guys were beating up bullies.
Never.
No, it was law enforcement. I didn't go to jail.
This guy was working. I don't even know if I can say all that stuff, but he was working with all kinds of different agencies.
He has connections.
When I met Mr. Howard, he was a very interesting man, one of the most interesting men in the world. So yeah, you never really knew. I did. I mean, I had a pretty good idea, but. Yeah, we didn't have issues with police and law enforcement. Not to mention, in Toledo, there's not a lot of response to these types of situations, okay?
They measure in hours?
In the situations we were in, too, there's definitely defensive. It wasn't like we didn't chase people down.
We laugh and we make it, but these guys were.
They were trying to do harm, and so could I run away? Could we have run away? Yeah, of course we could have.
But it was your duty.
It was in our nature. It was in our
to teach
DNA.
These gentlemen.
My cardio was bad, like there just wasn't,
It'd be like one of these things, like.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? We got to disturb. Oh, hey, Scott. Scott, what's going on? Oh, what'd this guy do? Oh, hey, come on, get up, buddy. Get up, buddy. You're not hurt.
So
you're fine.
And we can get back to the hammer and the knife in a second. But I see my brother still up there and he's laughing. I can say that the fight that he started, that I finished when he turned 22. I didn't.
Is this Adam?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I
think your camera's out up there. I just seen a little flash.
Okay.
Just giving you a heads up.
Thank you. I don't know what's going on.
Missed the best part about him.
That's okay. Well, it's here.
Bad stuff.
It's here. Don't worry. We got the audio's rolling
because we got a lot of dirt on Mr. Ajan Howard. You guys shoot me some questions. Anything you need to know about old boy over here, old Ajan. I'm an open book tonight. I'm going to hit my second beer here soon.
He's telling all. What about the early question about what it takes? Like just really, really short answer here, but like a bulleted thing of what are the things that you need in order to be successful as a Muay Thai fighter?
So I you've heard the stories of what we were just talking about. I think you need three things, and it's mentality first. Everything you do is mentality first. And when I say that, it's you have to want to engage with people. You can't be afraid to get hit. It's part of the sport. You'll identify immediately fight or flight in a person, whether they turn away, whether they want. We learned early on. I learned this from Sean from training with him. Somebody gives you one, you give them two. That's the way it is. So
I remember that.
Yeah, it's mentality first. You have to want to fight, and I have to say, a lot of people, even today, you watch the fighters out there, you watch people in the highest level. Do they really want to fight, or are they out there doing their sport? But you have to want to fight. You have to be willing to get dirty. My last fight, when I was out there with Sean, I don't think I was better than the guy. I think that he was young. I just didn't want to quit. You know what I mean? So it was mentality first, and I had every reason to quit.
Yeah.
Mentality.
That nose was looking good, buddy.
Yeah, I was feeling that one.
Ooh, his head went for a ride. It snapped back, and he bit down and he sucked it up.
Yeah, I don't remember any of it. I don't remember the last 30 seconds. I don't remember going.
He got off the stool and he went in and banged the guy's legs out.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a little concern when he caught you. I don't know I can't remember if he hit you with a straight right hand.
One on a leg kick. Yeah.
And
so definitely mentality first. Cardio is second. You know, because cardio will make a baby out of people. I've seen great guys go out there, and then they gas out, and you know the less technical fighter can go out there and beat them because they're there.
Because the cardio's there, he's able to just keep working.
And then the last thing is technique. You know what? Fighting is something that you do when somebody steals your Tonka toy when you're 3. You're going to go smash that kid, or you're going to go run and you're going to tell mom. You know, and the kid that goes out there and he gets it back himself, that's a fighter. That's inherent to that person. And there's not many people out there that can do that. But if you're willing to fight, you know, you've seen a lot of guys. You know, you see, you know, Diego Sanchez is not a great fighter.
He's a beast, all right.
Yeah, but he keeps going forward, and he wants to hurt you. You know, I have guys at the gym right now. You know, and I don't want to call out too many people, but you get a guy like Pablo Garcia. You know, Pablo is he can be explosive, and Pablo's a very good fighter, and
very impressed with Pablo. If you're listening, buddy, man, he came out to the fight house and he went right to Bangkok. Went straight to Bangkok. You know, I thought we'd get him a few fights down in the islands. He wanted to go to MX, Extreme Muay Thai, MMA gloves, 3 rounds, Muay Thai rules, fighting good level guys, good level. And he went in there and he looked, out of all the foreigners I've seen come through, he kicks like a Thai. The range is like a Thai. The fight went the other guy's way. He got clipped a little bit. It happens, but I mean, what a warrior, and how he took the fight after, how he analyzed it, how he beat himself up and went back in the gym, and didn't have this ego thing like a couple other guys that I've groomed up that way. I'm very disappointed in, but yeah, man, really good.
So you look at Pablo, and like Sean was just saying, you know, his heart, his willingness to engage. He wants to fight. He wants to do damage, you know, and then his cardio. He does the work. His technique. He's got very good technique, but there's some guys who are more dynamic than Pablo. But you know, so he might be at 8.5 or 9, but he's an 8.5 to 9 for 5 rounds or whatever. You know what I mean?
And he's got the thing that you can't train either. He's got the warrior mentality.
That's what I'm saying. So you have that, you have the cardio, and then you have a guy who's going to go out there and he's going to give you the same performance. If it's a 3-round fight, it's a 5-round fight. There is no low with him. It's very even keel all the way across. Where you see a lot of other guys, they start here.
This kid went through major pressure. I mean, there should be a doc just about that. The journey the kid cut, I don't know how, he cut a extreme amount of weight. Went up to a venue that's a big venue in Thailand. Okay, it's not Lumpini or something, but it's a big venue, televised, a lot of sponsors, a lot of going in early, weighing and staying there all day, doing sponsorship stuff, doing this, doing interviews, doing photos. Mm-hmm. And these guys, man, his body shut down. I mean, he couldn't get water in, he couldn't get food in. He was done.
What was the weight he was started at, and what he had to fight at?
I think it was. I don't want to say something wrong. It was and take any of this glory because it was 20 pounds plus. And he didn't have any time to do it in, and he made the weight. Not only did he make the weight, I think he was under. And then he goes, and you know, we get him hydrated and stuff, and he's starting to feel better. But still, he performed like that through all types of stuff that led up to that fight that nobody has any clue about. They just seen, boom, round 1, round 2, round 3. They didn't know the build-up, what he went through, the no sleeping because he was starving. I mean, this guy, his body was quitting. You know, he was seriously losing that type of weight, and he set a goal, and he did it. He manned up when everybody could have bailed out. Everyone had any excuse to just say, you know what, this isn't the right. He just did it.
You can't teach that.
No,
you can't. And that's what I think is going to discourage a lot of people out there. Which probably that's a good thing. Like
you're gonna die here. I don't know if that matters.
Just technical difficulty after technical difficulty. This never happens, by the way.
Sure. Said that before, I'm sure.
All right, we are good to go now. All right. Guys, back in. All right. But that's not something that you can teach. That's discouraging to a lot of people out there that they have their heart set on being a fighter, and they don't have that killer instinct.
I think we're all like, I don't speak for women, but like, you know, us growing up guys, I mean, there's got to be some point, you know, where we want to be a pro boxer, or we envision ourselves as like in a Rocky movie or whatever. Can we take a punch? There's all these questions that go through every young man's head, I think. But yeah, there's just, the reality is, you can go into the martial arts. You can be a successful martial artist,
right.
You know, but being a fighter and just doing combatives and applying combatives is,
or in Thailand doing it 3-4 times a month.
Yeah,
come on. Like, speaking of you were talking about, and I learned that in Thailand they don't train like what you guys did in the beginning.
No.
The sabaki stuff and the Thai, what all that stuff. They train so that they can be healthy.
The control is unreal. First of all, it's not that they're not hitting you with lethal technique and precision, but because they are trained so much and have so much control in their body, like a dancer, that they can stop on a dime, and they preserve one another's body. But the technique is dynamic, it's fast, it's explosive. Mm-hmm. To untrained eye, I could take many people there, sit them in chairs, and they would think those are fights. You know, and I still see it today in stadiums in the South. Half those fights are worked. The other half are fights. And I can spot it, and you got people screaming around those stadiums and throwing money around, and they think that shit's real. And it looks real. In our standard, it would be a pretty good fight. I mean, you're hearing the kick slap and kick, but for them, you're looking at bodies that are conditioned completely different. You know, you're looking at 9 years of age, going into a sport where they're trying to generate income to support a family. A lot of them are pressured to fight. They're sold to a gym. They don't get to go to school, although there's all these regulations now for these kids, right? But back in the 80s, earlier, in 90s even, most of these fighters can't sign their name, okay? They get sold to a gym, and they are locked in basically a prison, and they're forced to train 8 hours a day. And if you don't get up and do it, you're going to see daddy, and that daddy is your ring handler. You know, that would be a Jean Pite, and these guys aren't people you want to mess with, really. You know, you learn that from a young age, and you almost have that fear, so they just develop or overdevelop these kids. That's exploiting. There's a lot of parts of Muay Thai I'm not in agreement with, and I've tried to make an impact. My little self in my little pond, I've tried to change that with the Fight House and bringing in some Thai kids and taking care of these kids and schooling these kids and donating and do all this stuff that I could do, and keeping money aside so the parents couldn't get their hands in there, so that they had something after boxing. But you're going against like a sport that was really, I mean, probably pure in the beginning. But now with money and corruption and things like that, it's a very, very dirty sport. You know, Thai boxing, Muay Thai.
I bet. A lot of money in Thai boxing.
Yeah, I mean, outside the ring, right?
Everybody.
Not inside the ring.
No,
outside the ring.
It's the same way here. I mean, it's not the same as it is in Thailand, but you're talking about corruption, and it's anything that the States is going to get its hands on is going to turn corrupt as well. You know, and you look at places here. They do the same thing, you know. They're going out there and you know, you got these guys who want to be fighters and coaches and owners. They all take advantage of that. So whether it's out there and it's government and it's parents and people selling kids it doesn't matter. You know, it comes over here and you just have a better game of bullshit here.
Right.
You have a better scam here. You know, how many schools do you know right now that changed to MMA schools?
I know.
You know what I mean? And how many of them really know anything about MMA?
I drive by them all the time that used to say karate this or taekwondo this, and now it's all about, oh yeah, we teach Muay Thai or we teach MMA here.
Put the shorts on.
Yeah, you got Thai schools that were karate schools just 5 years ago, you know, and now they put up there, they go, oh, we got Thai because they got one person that came in, and now they're at Thai school, and they're the best at MMA, and they do this. And you know, I'm not going to call out any of them, but you have to stay real. You know what I mean? And you know, it comes full circle back to being a martial artist. You know, we were talking about it earlier. You know, and whether it's martial arts, whether it's your religion and something to follow, you have to follow a solid baseline. Because, you know, all this stuff, you're right, UFC is going to go away.
Eventually,
you know? Yeah. It is. You know what I mean? Because people...
WME's got it, so
you know,
it's definitely going to go away at some point.
Listen, everybody's enamored right now with... They're going to go MMA, they're going to Conor McGregor this, and we talked about that before.
You didn't even want to talk about Conor McGregor.
Well, the big names that you have out there, and even today, you know, it's a lot of bashing, it's a lot of social media. Things are going to come full circle, and what people want to be around is good people. You know what I mean? So whether it's a religious aspect where you're following 10 commandments, or a Buddhist aspect when you're following these 10 rules, which are almost the same. You know, we talked about this the other day. You know, all this stuff, you're following good things. So the martial artist, you're leading by example. You're teaching people how to be better. And I tell all of my guys, you know, Sean told me this back in the day, don't be like him, be better than him. You know, for my students, don't be like me, be better than me.
Which is why I don't think any of the guys you were talking about earlier that you came from, I don't think that they're going, because you said earlier, you didn't want to be disrespectful and say, I teach better now than I was taught. But it's like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. You're supposed to be better than the teachers that taught you.
Yeah.
Or else you're doing them a disservice, I think, in the art.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what would you guys be doing if you didn't have martial arts?
Man, I knew I was talking about this at home at the Christmas party, seeing friends I haven't seen in 15 years. This is all I've ever done. This is something I think I was blessed in the sense that maybe I didn't see all this, but I just knew that this is what I was going to do. And I just followed it. Everybody told me if I had $1 for every time I heard, you know, you should get a real job and this is a hobby and this is, you know, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? And I decided just to stick to my guns, still learn and teach. Even when there was zero money out there doing this, there was no money. Living like under the poverty level, living in the gyms, having lights turned out, having electric cut off, but still accepting students in with no tuition, you know?
So what you're telling me is that if no martial arts, then nothing?
There's nothing.
There's nothing else?
No. For me, I can't speak for Scott. You know, Scott's really diversified. He's, you know, I promoted a little bit. I did this and that, but it all was related to martial arts.
To martial arts, yeah.
There's not one thing.
I'm like trying to think all right, so Sean is, you know, it's off day or whatever. He's not training that day. What's he doing? He's sitting there.
Yeah, it's what's sad.
What are you doing?
That's where I've been going through this big transition in my life the past few years, is trying to find something else that I enjoy. I enjoy to surf a bit. I enjoy some things, but I can't. This is an issue, and that's probably why in February I'm going to go get my, you know, head wrapped in and get back in the ring again, because I'm
February. So like a little over a month from now, it's time to go back in the ring.
Yeah,
the Thai ring.
In Bangkok. So for me, you know, I just can't see myself without the martial arts or what I'd be doing, and it's a bit frustrating. I'm looking for something. There's nothing I can find right now to date that gives me the same feeling or fulfillment that the whole process of getting ready for a fight or a bout. You know, it's just this major stress. It used to stress me out. Be like, what the hell am I doing? I'm telling myself this in my head.
Yeah.
Like, why would I sign up for this? Like, I've already done enough, right? Every like time you hit that benchmark, you're like, I got enough in. You know, I have enough credibility. You know, I understand this enough to teach. And
it's not good.
And then the promoter'd call and you'd go, yeah, okay, you know, February, whatever. And you're like, fuck, man, what did
I did it again.
And here I'm all stressed out again. Yeah. You know, I got to think about this date. I got to think about what I'm eating. I got to think about how much I'm sleeping, how much I'm training, who I'm going to train with. And I would just, I left it for a while. You know,
how much of it is love and how much of it is just like the guys that go to prison for forever, and when they leave prison, they've been institutionalized. How much is institutionalized?
That's a good question, man. It's different the past couple years. I think I was a little bit burned out. I think I was doing a lot of sponsorship and like kind of like what Scott's been doing for a lot longer than me, as far as just helping guys out of his pocket, you know, like really wanting the best for these guys and making major sacrifices, taking his own hard-earned stuff and putting himself in different positions because of that, you know. And there's a lot, you know, you get let down a lot, you know. I'm always looking for the best in everybody, but I realized just recently in the end, you know, like, I just got to look after myself, a few people that are close around me. It's going to take a lot to prove that you're worth, like, me setting you up with a free room, free food, free training for 6 months in Thailand, letting, you know, not taking barely anything from the fight purses, not enough to even make an excuse that it's an actual business, and just taking my money and burning it and realizing that very few people are going to feel about it the same way I do, approach it and love it the same way I do, and preserve it the same way I do. So, you know, it's just been like, wow, this is really. So now I've taken a little bit of a different role
from the sponsoring fighters.
Yeah, just from that, like that's a part of the martial arts, I think, that give back thing. Yeah, that's life. You know, I learned this. Now it'd be horrible. I remember this old story with the samurai. He's got the scrolls bit. You know, you see it in a lot of tattoo shops. He's got the scrolls bit in his mouth. He's got the old ninja thing going, and he's got demons kind of ripping his flesh off. And it's just, the story behind it is that, like, he's got this wisdom, and he just refuses to pass it on. So he's being tortured in, like, the afterlife because because the idea with this information is that he gets it, and he takes it, and he gives it, you know, and it gets passed on. And if he's greedy and he wants to hold all this magic, you know, it's bad karma. You know, you have to give this. You know, you don't keep it. That's why I hate to hear. I go back to Toledo and there's probably 5 gyms open now, and all these guys came through the Fitness and Fighting Arts Center. So I run into a friend. Oh man, all these people are living off your name. And probably, you know, how long do they train for me? I was like, what's wrong with that? Everybody wants to get me to jump on the argument. I said, that's great, man. You know. They stole all your stuff, they're running your routines. Really? That's awesome.
That's flattering.
Because
it really is.
Why would I not want to see people grow, make a living? And how can I say that this is mine? None of it's mine. I learned this from somebody else.
You realize. I'll turn this off. Forget it. You realize that you just that's a Jesus story right there, because the apostles, they're just the apostles. I'm always getting disciples. Okay, disciples. That's what we're gonna go with. I'm always getting confused with those two. But the disciples came to Jesus and were like, "Hey, man, there's this other dude calling himself Jesus," and Jesus was like, "Well, is he doing evil using my name? No, they're doing good stuff. Oh, okay, cool. Let it fly. Let it fly. They're doing good stuff. Who cares?"
Yeah, and it's not mine to steal. And maybe it's the way I put something together. Maybe I took those techniques and I put it in a system or a format, and that works good or whatever. Nobody's taking anything from me. And I think when you can really not feel that way, when you can open your heart up and just do the things and not worry about what the guy doing down the road is, or how many guys have what numbers in their gym. Who gives a shit? Like, just worry about your stuff. Open up your heart. Let the right people come in, and yeah, you're good to go. Like,
if you cared about money, and I see this all the time. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. One thing I learned was, if you're not me, I burned out. I identified 100% with you, because I burned out back in, I think it was like 2007, 2008. I burned out because I was trying to do everything, and I realized I need people to do the things that I'm not good at.
Yeah.
Scott?
I think Scott helped me with that quite a bit, to be honest with you.
You know, so I'm listening to all this, and it's he's got a lot of people up in Toledo, and it's the same thing here, you know. So everything's his system, you know what I mean? Like, there's been bits and pieces that have always been added, you know, but they can be 5 schools up there, and then I came out here and you know, was doing something here, and but it's all his system, you know what I mean? So you get another 10 people here that have branched off from what Sean Douglas started, you know, 15, almost 20 years ago now. We're out there, you know. So You got Samuel Seffer, you got Rick Humphreys, you got Kelly Houston, you got so all these different schools, you know, where they're the head guys at these different locations. You know, there's Carlos and, you know, Jeremy Carper was just on there and Kenny Grudeau, and there's all these schools. Out in Ohio, George Grizel's with us now. You know, he's patched underneath the same system. So it's like there's a trickle-down effect to this. And you go, if you go in there and you go, well, are you upset about that? Well, why would you be upset? Because where's my money? Would you get into martial arts because of money?
Right.
Would you get into martial arts to affect other people's lives? Listen, you know, it's flattery. It's flattery. If that's my system, if that's his system, and somebody else is applying it, and one kid is helped because of it, there might be 9 that are shitheads. There might be 9, but you got one that you helped out, and he's the next generation. He's going to go open up a school at some point, and he's going to help out other kids. That's your legacy. You know, you can't take your money with you. You can make a bunch right now. None of us are hurting right now. He's out in Thailand doing a great thing. I'm out here. I'm doing okay for myself. You're doing okay for yourself. Spread the knowledge that you have, because there's not a lot of people out there that have good intent, common sense, and motivation, and can add that. And that's what you want to. That's what you want to set out there for the rest of the people. We joke about Loudoun County. Well, it's not just Loudoun County. You know, you be Fairfax. It can be all the extra money. Look at the new people look at the kids that are coming up. How much can they possibly learn? How much should they learn about that mentality versus here's an iPad, just go away. You'll get your Beamer when you're 16. You know, but to do that hard work, to be a better person, to gear themselves to be a better person, vice just a shithead. You know what I mean? So, you know, the money's always, we've always talked about the money. You know what I mean? It's going to be there. It's going to be there. But if you keep doing that work, people will come to you, and that's what's happened. You know, people seek him out for a reason. People seek me out here for a reason. And it's not because I'm going to produce UFC fighters. It's because I'm very consistent with this is what you're going to get here, and your kid's going to be held accountable. You're going to be held accountable. If you come in here and you say that you want to lose weight, you don't want to be a world beater, but you want to lose weight. Well, I'm not going to send you away because it's not my style. I'm going to make sure that you're 1% better every day. That's what we shoot for, 1% better every day. If you can make these people accountable for what they asked you for originally, then it doesn't matter if it's martial arts or something else, then you're a great person.
There's a lot of people that have died rich, and you know they'd say their regret, right? Like that's something you hear a lot. Like, I regretted that I didn't spend time with my family. I regretted that I didn't mentor more or spread my knowledge, like the samurai tattoo you were talking about. I didn't spread my knowledge. I held it in. I made a lot of money, but I don't care. Like that didn't fulfill me. I mean, I don't know where you guys, it sounds like you guys are in a healthy place as far as like what actually matters in life. And that's great. You're right. It's not about the money. It's about obviously the legacy that you were just talking about, the huge legacy that you guys have created. You guys aren't done, obviously. So we didn't really get to you, Scott. I mean, I don't even know. After what Sean said, you kind of almost I want to be like, yeah, me too, martial arts all the way. There's nothing else. But do you have something else that you're like that you would be doing if you didn't put all your energy into the martial arts?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. You know, like this is I never saw anything else different. I mean, I started when I was 7, and I was good at it. You know what I mean? And it led to, you know, so if I didn't have that, what would have happened? I was clumsy. I was tripping over myself at 6 years old, you know, and martial arts led me to self-confidence. I had good flexibility, good hand-eye coordination. It helped me out with all other sports. I played that. You know, I was in line for scholarships and stuff like that. But I joined the military and I was confident, you know what I mean? So if I hadn't had that growing up in New Hampshire, would I have been as confident as I was without it?
I was just having that conversation today with a guy that studied Taido for a long time. It's for those of you guys who don't know, Taido is like this kind of newer karate that's based around combat and the old style of what karate used to be. And he has 2 daughters, and he was saying that, you know, they're really sedentary. They're you know, beautiful girls. A lot going for them, but they just were never interested in anything physical. They just wanted to, like, you know, be in front of a computer doing video games or watching TV, or that's all they were into, and that's what they did. And he's like this guy. He's in his he's 52, and he literally, if he was standing in this room, he'd be the best looking guy in here. Abs. Well, I mean, well, okay. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Okay, I know. You're getting ready for a fight, so you're probably really close to that. But I mean, the guy. It's funny to see a father who is so into the martial arts and so into being close to his body being healthy and his mind being healthy, but then having two kids that were like, no.
So that's what you're talking about before, though, is that, you know, you can have all these things. You can, you know, very rarely do you have a package, you know, for a guy like Sean or you know, if you want to include myself, where people are good coaches. You know, so this guy might be great or whatever, and it's not a slam on him. If he's watching, I apologize, but some people aren't good at motivating other people or finding out what makes other people tick. Some people aren't good at being the coach. You know what I mean? And
I think it's exposure too. I think it's upbringing, where you are, environment, like all these things sort of direct. I was like in front of the Kung Fu theater thing all day. Like I was around the same generation where like Bruce Lee and all, like that was the hot stuff to watch. You know, now it's iPads and computers and technology and like.
Well, it's a parenting issue too, though.
Absolutely, the exposure to it, right?
We didn't have
Atari.
You know, we didn't have a choice. You know, we had Atari.
Yeah.
We had these games back then. But when parents came home,
we were on the street.
They
man.
told you,
right?
dude. I remember my mom talking to me, you know, and it was like a prison cell. She'd slide a peanut butter and jelly under the door. I wasn't allowed in from 9 a.m. to the lights
the
came.
street
You know what I
lights
mean?
come on.
But it's so different. I mean,
I get it. But you had to stay active. There wasn't a choice in that. That's how people grew up.
True or false, though? You guys have your work cut out for you as coaches, though, because it's a different world. I mean, like what Sean was saying, it's a freaking different world.
It starts like, I mean, the kids are starting this big with that shit.
Yeah,
but that's the parents allowing that to happen, right? There is a supervision. There's like these people, they don't get to make those choices until they're 18. I think that's still how it works, right?
Yeah. So I
like
ask parents
kid
when they
doesn't
come
have
in.
a say so. You're his guardian, so you know it's my house rules.
Parenting, it definitely has gone by the wayside for sure.
So you're talking a different mentality, obviously out there. The laws are different, but I disagree with that because I'll talk to the parents when they come in. I've had people come in before, and you know, they look at me funny when I'm getting on their kid for not lying off the mat. Or I had one kid and he went up and took off his gloves and threw them on the floor, and his mom picked them up, you know, put them in the bag, and I'm like, whoa, stop, you know. She's like, no, it's okay, and I'm like,
it's
not
okay.
here,
yeah.
not here. Pick up your own gloves, you know. And he's like, Mom, I need my water, and I'm like, ask your mother for your water, you know, like. And I had to go through all that, so I ended up talking to her afterwards, and I'm like, I don't think it's the right fit.
What do you mean?
I don't think your son is the right fit at the school.
I mean, do you remember when the arts though, like our gyms were, that was huge. Like that was the big marketing tool. It was like, come here, and they still say yes sir and no sir.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come
Come here for discipline, for that education. Now it's like come to the MMA gym and learn how to smash someone or escape.
Listen,
whatever.
there's schools that'll take your money. Yeah, I won't take it. I mean, Capital will take it.
Yeah.
Capital? Did you say that?
I did.
Is that the
Capital take your money? They will.
All I'm thinking, like, that's a crusade for me, you know, is where we're going as far as the world, the United States. I mean, you know, other places it's different, but here in the United States, we're getting so soft. It's you don't have rites of passage. You know, I'm an anthropologist, so rites of passage. There's no rites of passage. So it's like, well, and parenting is getting worse. Like there's non-existent parents who are just like, hey, the TV is going to teach them, or the iPad or whatever is going to teach them what they need to know, right? You guys have a big fight. That's a big battle that you have on your hands, and I feel like there needs to be more of you. You know,
it's not a big battle. Listen, you do what you can with the time that you have when you're there. You know what I mean? I leave work and I go to the gym. When I leave work, I don't think of work anymore. When I go to the gym, I'm 100% focused on the gym. But what I see when I'm there, I handle. I take care of the people that show up. You know,
I know, but what I'm saying is that there's not enough of you.
Understood, but it's not a battle. You know, that is your place. Your name is up there on the front. You know,
I think the kids we're dealing with though, like it's all simulation, right? Their life is built like all the simulation where we had to Kids can't even communicate anymore. We're out in the street every day, whether it's football, softball, we're scraping our knee. There's the whole rites of passion thing going on every single day.
Yeah.
This group against that group. Who's going to be the alpha in the group? Who's all that stuff that you're learning.
That's bullying now.
Right?
Yeah, Cudero, that's bullying. Anthony Cudero, you're a bully.
This
He
guy
is a bully.
What the hell?
Hey, we got to get you back on the show, Anthony.
Yeah,
Anthony,
or in
what's
the gym.
up, buddy? I think the last time you
love
saw
it.
me, dude, my eyes were going. I don't even know.
I'd
I
love
don't
to see you in
remember.
the gym.
I don't even remember.
Oh, I'm too busy, guys. I'm too busy. I got
This
all
guy
this stuff
took me
going
out
on.
one night, and his cousins and brothers, or what? I mean, I was a crazy, crazy night.
He almost got killed by a cab.
Georgetown, I think it was. Thank you for that, by the way.
Hey, what's the hammer story?
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
so that's what I think we need. I think we need to have a little bit more fun since it's our interview. You
All right,
told
let's
me
do it. Go ahead. Let's hear the hammer story.
And then we got a bunch of people that have questions. You're ignoring
hammer
everybody.
in the morning, hammer in the evening, all over this.
So
Sorry, the hammer song.
So I'll make this quick-ish, and
It's never that quick.
it's
Not with these crazy stories.
and you guys hang on for a bit because I'm gonna make Leo let you guys ask questions.
When he went out. Yeah, okay.
So I was getting ready to leave Ohio. I took a job out here with State Department, and it was a going away party. I forgot the name of the place though.
I think it was, it was by that damn Jugs bowling alley off of
It was a little tiny,
Lasky,
it was a little tiny shitty bar, and a friend of
surrounded
mine.
by another shitty bar.
Yeah, a friend of mine owned it. So anyways, so we went in there, and there's probably 10 or 12 of us at least.
Yeah, we had a good group.
Yeah, so it was all the guys from the gym, all the fighters. And there's this guy up there, and really, he's a regular there, singing karaoke, and we're trying to sing karaoke, but he was pushing this other lady out of the way who was singing, and he was trying to get with her. And anyway, the owner went over and tried to step in, and the guy pushed him away. So the owner came up, and I can't remember the specifics, but pretty much, you guys can drink for free if you get rid of this guy. So me and Sean escorted him out the front and locked the door behind us. And then so we didn't realize he worked at a shop across the street, across the highway. And so he
boy.
came back about 5 minutes later, and he was banging on the glass. And he asked me to come out very politely, I think. It's very politely he asked me to come outside. So
With a claw hammer.
we both went outside, and he had it like the biggest claw hammer I'd ever seen in my life. And,
Framing hammer.
yeah, and
Beautiful.
I'm like, hey, and then me and Sean are laughing. I'm like, did you bring a hammer to the fight?
I don't think he was ready for that the reaction.
Yeah,
I think
so
that
we were
was
laughing.
the first thing.
And we were sort of laughing with each other. And I said, I've never fought anybody that had a hammer before. So this is just, So I said, listen, man, why don't you go back and get a different weapon, and we'll figure this out later. So he got a little frustrated. I thought he left, and we went back inside and started drinking a little bit again, and then we went to leave a couple hours later, and he was outside, and he had his hand behind his back, and he says, you remember me, motherfucker? And Sean's like, yeah, you're the guy with the hammer, you're that guy. And so he pulled out this knife, and I didn't think he was going to use it, but he swung it and missed me by a little bit, and that's when Sean had a conversation with him. He's like, hey, this is Toledo's fight team, and
Good martial artist always warns the guy, right? 2 or 3 times.
he wasn't really warning him, he was taunting him. And he goes, so you may kill him, but one of us is going to get the knife from you, and you're going to die tonight. And so then I took
Kind of heavy.
So I took offense to that, and I'm like, well, why do I need to die for? So now we're arguing. So this guy's there with his
Because I
knife.
already put him out there. He's going to get stabbed, but we're going to make sure that
Yeah,
you go
so
with
we're
We're going
arguing.
to avenge him.
So now this guy's a little stressed out because he's starting to get circled, and so he throws the knife, and he goes to run across the street, and made it to the parking lot, and then something happened. He was on his back,
Yeah.
and anyway, his friends came. 5 friends in a car drove up.
That's right.
Jumped out and said he's had enough, and these guys told him to get back in, or they were next. So each one of those tough guys jumped back in the car and just looked, and
I do remember.
yeah. So it was There's more to the story, but yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we get the knife away from him, and he regretted doing that.
There's tons of those.
Oh, come on, man. You can't just
There's tons
stop
of
there.
Yeah.
All right, so what Muay Thai techniques were used? Some sabaki?
Well, so the funny thing is, none of my techniques were actually used. I had Sean, it was on all fours, coaching me when I had this guy in full mount.
This is the best seat in the house. I mean, that was...
So,
yeah, it was...
So you're ground and pounding him, and Sean just calmly telling you, oh, no,
Well,
closer
there's more to it, and there's a combination of these events that have happened over the years, but Scott likes to use like the ambiance. You know, it's like one of those boss root and like self-defense videos. Like, he wants to use the car bumper or like, and you know, I've got a little bit more. Like I was raised right. I don't know about this guy, but I'm like, man, don't throw the guy on this guy's hood of the car. You're wrecking the guy's car.
The car, man.
So he's, you know, he'll take him off the car, put him on the sidewalk. You know, I'm a good play-by-play guy, especially in that type of environment. But yeah, we've had
a long time ago.
Oh my
a lot
god,
of those little incidents.
All right,
unfortunately.
Okay, so was that the scariest? I mean, a guy coming at you with a claw?
No,
hammer?
that's what's really strange about the whole thing is that there's quite a calm. I think that's what was. It was just odd, you know. The guy turns up with a claw hammer. You know
how mad was this guy?
Yeah, he was not in a good mood initially. You could tell he broke once he found out that there was all pro fighters there.
But you know, he just wasn't like. He didn't pose that big of a threat. I mean, I felt like, wow, this guy's gonna pull a knife out. We get a green card. I can go whack this guy out if I want. You know.
Meanwhile, in normal land, non-fighter land, you got guys that'd be pissing themselves if that happened to them. So just the fact that you guys are so used to fighting.
Yeah, and being in really, like, that started happening to me in the military. I'm sure Scott, too. Just, yeah, bar kicks off, right? And then you got, like, stools getting thrown, and, like, right out of a damn movie out in Jacksonville. And I'm living in the Matrix. Like, things are slowed down. I'm the guy, like, getting up, finishing my drink, and I walk over and pick the guy, and then... Really, I mean, I felt that way sometimes. And then there's also times that I felt a lot of fear come over my body.
Okay.
And being in this really... Usually those environments in the beginning were in third world places, you know, where you're just like, your spidey senses are going crazy.
You got a story?
Oh, I've got plenty of stories,
man. What's the one that comes to your mind, like, right away?
Phuket, Thailand, many years ago. I'm going to go out for some refreshments to a little area that we would like to go in Kata. And I park my motorbike off behind this like little bungalow area, but it's dark, it's not lit, but it's off the main road, and I'm not really wanting people to see my bike anyway. I'm gonna go off in my own little private space and have some drinks, and nobody bothers me. So one drink, another drink, it gets to be late, and I'm coming back to the bike, and it's not in the greatest place to park it, and you know, a Thai guy starts to approach me. And it looks like he's just going to ask me a question, you know, like, where's this or where's that?
That's how robberies always start.
And when he asked me, I can't even remember, but the guy on the side of me, another guy comes up and he gives me a shot. And in my world, that shot, I was dazed for a long time. But actually it was like, you know, second, not even, you know, because... Once he hit me, they stopped. That was the biggest mistake they made.
Whoa.
It's like they admired the work for a second, which I just recovered, and I just started blasting. And I got really lucky to smack the first guy right on the button and put him down. And the other guy and me tussled a little bit, and I landed on top and just elbow, and left the two guys in bad shape for sure.
Jeez.
And had to come home and...
There wasn't a half to come home. That was a phone call here about 2 o'clock in the morning saying, hey, I have to come home.
Oh, man.
I don't have a choice right now. I have to come home. And I said, okay.
Yeah, tough guys you run into. If you bang out the wrong group of guys, you might not want to stick around, especially over there.
So that was I said, I'll square it away in the morning. He's like, no, we need to do this now.
Oh, jeez.
That was one of those conversations.
You had to escape because there was some, what do you call it?
I've been in a couple fights.
Some gang stuff.
In my life where, you know, it goes extreme. And in a street environment, I'll be honest, like, I'm not there You know, maybe different now a little bit because I've got more control factor, especially with jiu-jitsu, a little bit more training that gives you options, right? You can put a guy to sleep, stand up, walk away. But my mentality then was much more military. So if I was going to get in a fight without a referee and you were going to come approach me in a bar on the street, we're fighting to the death. Like, I don't know you. I don't know where you're from. I'm not going to be the guy that's knocked out while you're stepping on my head. You have come and just come into my world, which I'm not bothering anybody. I have every right to be wherever I want to be, you know. And now I've got to take care of myself, like my life. And I took every fight that way, you know. So there wasn't much of a control point. And if I didn't have people there to rip me off, it's going to go on until there's nobody. The threat's gone completely.
You go like into a zone or something when you fight?
That way, that was how I prepared myself mentally before I'd even go out, before I'd go into a bar, I mean, guys that know me from years ago, I was always like sussing out who's drinking with what hand, what leg he's leaning on. I'm looking at all this stuff when I come in.
So I want you to go back to the start of this conversation tonight, and when you asked who was the crazier of the two.
Yeah. Really?
Oh yeah.
Because he blacks out and then does things he doesn't remember the next day.
I can remember every piece and every detail. That's not the blackout.
Sean, you killed 3 men.
It was just that, and man, if Miguez ever sees this or any of the guys when I had to fight out in Jacksonville, I mean, I was in rare form, and I had just went through a major breakup, and you know, I was doing tons of conditioning and shin conditioning, and we got into a huge bar brawl out of by Camp Geiger. And there was probably 8 to 12 guys. There was a small sniper team and a few other Marines, and we were just a little clique. And I went down to get my car. I was one of the 2 guys driving. So me and another Marine walk out of the pub. We go down to get in the car to move it down because we're bar hopping. And as I pull down, there's a big, there's 8, 9 guys scuffling around, and our guys are in the middle getting mobbed by a bunch of boots, a bunch of guys coming out of School of Infantry. So they're all, you get the high and tights, the fucking combat boots, and the dog tags flying. And I just hit the gas, and I go right for the fucking pack, and I hit my brights. I slam the brakes. I get close. I think Elting might have been the one that was down on one knee, and the guys were over. And when I did the car thing, they scattered, and 2 or 3 guys stayed to fight. And I just went to the first one and eliminated him, and went to the second one. And I remember a guy trying to get up off the floor, and I shin kicked him. And I mean, his jaw went back. He didn't have a lower jaw.
Oh, God.
And when I came through, I had some khakis. I had teeth in my shoelaces. And I had to get back on base with like drenched in tequila. So Miguez, if I remember, we went to the base, stripped down, washed the car out. It was some like,
holy crap,
and looked at the newspaper for days after. But
to make sure it wasn't a story,
dude, these guys weren't moving when we left.
So to save a clearance and from SWAT being here, let's go to questions.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's see if we have any questions. Nope, just statements on how awesome you guys are.
We'll give him a second. I think. I'm sure there's going to be
Give Scott some questions.
Excellent interview from Adam.
Not me.
Howard.
That was a while ago.
Too much awesome in this room. Oh, that was a while ago.
Yeah, you can.
There we go.
Did everyone go to bed? Are they sleeping? I'll give you my sleeping voice.
Ooh. Okay, Paul must have left and then came back. All right, let's see. Tell them the story when we went out.
No, Anthony.
Oh, is that the one Anthony that I'm talking about? Yeah, bro. We gotta censor some of that.
Sean Michael Ahern.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, he's an up and coming fighter. Good guy.
Yeah, I've been watching him on Facebook, man. What's his deal?
Just extremely raw talent. I think he's 2-0 or 3-0 in MMA, 2-0 in Thai. I've only been training probably 8 months.
Let me just get this off my chest real quick while I'm here, because Scott just brought me in again. I gotta say, I don't like to blow smoke really at all up anyone's ass, but this guy has done more for Muay Thai on the East Coast and the Midwest than anyone I know. This might rock some boats, this might piss some people off, but with his own personal money, his time, his effort, including getting involved with the WKA a long time ago and major sanctioning bodies. If it wasn't for him, some of those things would not exist today. Valhalla, I mean, all these types of promotions he was involved in one way or another. And without those platforms and without that passion, okay, we would not be near where we are in Muay Thai, especially out here. When I come out to the gyms now, I'm excited, man. I see these guys train. 10, 15 years ago, you come out and it's just like, oh, Jesus, this guy's doing karate still, or this guy's doing taekwondo. He's not. These guys understand Muay Thai. It's like an information highway. There's not just one or two good guys now. There's lots of good guys, doing things the right way. I used to be able to go in a gym and just pick them apart. So I'm going to get excited to come out here now. It's like, man, Scott, I don't know what I'm going to teach these guys anymore.
How is this going to, okay, let me piggyback on that real quick. In the last 10 years, I've watched Scott and his affiliates do exactly what you just said. Transform this place, and I'm from here, transform this place from a place that, again, McDojos and all that, to serious competition happening thanks to Valhalla, the GCA.
Oh, man.
All that stuff, right? My question is, when is it going to get some shine like some of these other places where you got, we've had UFC fighters come down here and train, but when are we going to get real
West
shine?
Coast, East Coast stuff. That's just like geographic, like all the stuff, most of the major media, most of the major, it's where your location is. So, if he had that gym in California, he was doing the same thing out there, he'd have a writer, a guy in his, a guy that had stuff going on that would say, hey, I'm one of your students. When I was with Kung Lee, Scott Coker was his friend, okay? Kung Lee wasn't like, they just didn't find the guy and put him on every magazine. He networked. He had those guys, the guys in Inside Kung Fu, they were students. So, hey, coach, let's put you on. He was on every cover, every magazine. Was he the best fighter of all time? No, he wasn't. He was great, but he had the network. And it was something I seen, when I met Frank Shamrock many years ago with Kung, he comes in, I'm like, wow, this is how it works. It was kind of the first time I seen that business part of it, of how guys promoted themselves. I just sat from a TV and watched, Strike Force in, ESPN2, and like, how do these guys get chosen to get there? How do they get the exposure? How does it work?
That's my question, because for me, okay, my goal with Vicar Studios is that I want to create a hub here for production, because New York's got one, obviously has always had one, LA's always had one,
Absolutely.
But now you're starting to see Philly, Louisiana, North Carolina. You're starting to see places that wow, they produce stuff there.
This format, man, this podcast thing, this whole movement. I mean, look at it. I mean, could you pull a show off like this? No, I mean, you can put stuff on YouTube and it's just about getting an audience, right? It's all about those numbers, right? I
want more fighters then. And I've been thinking about that. I want more fighters from you guys that you are seeing as the guys and girls that can help carry sort of the flag here, talking about why is it that they fight, because most people are interested in a couple of things. If they're watching this, they're into the sport, they're into the training, and they want to understand, okay, how are they doing it? Like the people that aren't already your students that are watching this right now, I'm doing things like, okay, if you say Farang, that means foreigner. If you're saying Wat, that's temple. If you're saying, because they're interested enough to go, okay, what's that all about? But it's not yet something where you've got these ultimate fight fans coming and watching, and I actually would like that for Righteous Anger. I would like for this to be a place where people can sit down and talk about not just, yeah, man, I do, I train 2 a day and this is my eating thing. And I actually wanted to ask you questions like, when you first got in the ring, because there's other people that are going to be in the ring for the first time, were you scared? What scared you? Like what was that? Because a big thing is the mental, like what makes them different? Kind of like what we were talking about earlier. What makes them the fighters that are doing it, what makes them mentally different? And can I be that person? I want to be that person, but can I be that person?
Sure.
Yeah, I think you're going to miss a big piece. I mean, this last couple of minutes is kind of bounced all over the place, but you're looking at why there's not a more talent coming out of this area based on and what we have here. And you look, so you look at, and I'm not tooting my own horn, I used to have Valhalla, and the reason for GCA was to have a 50-50 fighting ground for all these different local guys. So you look at a lot of the local promotions now, and the promoter, the head guy, has his own school, and he looks out for his own school. So I talked to a couple of the different promoters in the area, and I won't name who it is, but one specifically 3 or 4 years ago was like, we shouldn't be fighting each other, because we have these up-and-coming guys, and because all the good guys are fighting each other at the top right here, nobody's breaking through that glass ceiling. And I agreed until they started running their own promotion, and then they wanted to make money from these guys. So I'm telling you, this area is about it's cannibalization. How many schools in this area? And just be honest with yourself, you don't have to name them. Really look out for the fighter and promoting the martial art, or look out for a bottom line. So when you think about the top 5, the top 10 schools, how many of them look out for the fighter, or is the fighter secondary to making money at that school?
So what I'm hearing from you, correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's two mentalities going on here. In order for this area to have that shine, as I call it, some real nasty things that have happened in other areas has to happen. Like, for instance, if you look at, let's talk about the UFC. If you look at the UFC and you look at what Dana's done, you got some people that say Dana's a genius, and you have other people say Dana is a leech.
Right.
If you look at boxing, even worse, right? So are you saying that this area being the East Coast, I'm just speaking for the East Coast in general, the East Coast doesn't, I hear what Sean's saying, and I think that's very true, is that, people want to be near the beach and they want to be in this area, and there's LA, and it's like, it's a happening place, and good trainers go out there and all that. But for this area to become that big, are you saying that it has to be corrupt?
No, I don't think it has to be corrupt at all. I think you need to take the corruptness out of it. So you look at, listen, this area has great coaches. But what I said it earlier, they have great coaches that put MMA on their school now. When they used to be a karate school just how long ago? They put Thai on it when they were a kickboxing school.
Are they still good? Are they still good coaches in your mind?
I think they're good at what they originally started at. But I don't think, people will spend money on this stuff because they, listen, I can name a few different schools right now where I look at them. They're the biggest schools in this area as far as having the most students. But how good are they? What do they walk away with? And I'm fine with what they do, as far as that's what you want to do. You want to tell people this is how you're going to make money. You want to tell people you're offering the best. Because after they're there for a year, they come to us. You know what I mean? Like the top guys, they're going to come to us because they hit a plateau. They hit that ceiling, and they have nowhere to go. And
that was the point of Valhalla, GCA, all the fight stuff that you put out. The fight, not venue, but what is it called? Fight promotions that you put on and helped put on was the breeding ground, or the weeding out, the threshing ground for that. So was that part of the plan as far as making it more pure and real?
The plan was that back then people didn't have it wasn't even legal. I mean, at the time we went through in WKA and we got the stuff squared away there for Virginia, but the fights that were being put on were still, they're run by the wrong people. It was I remember Sam Yosefi had a fight one time, and I won't name names, but the promoter, who was also the sanctioning body, went back there and said, yeah, the weight is good. The weight is good. And somebody came and told me later on that the guy was 9 pounds overweight, but it was his fighter, and it was a main event fight.
Those shows, man, are crazy. Yeah. I mean, there's no sure dogs and no one tracking records and fights. And I mean, that's what I dealt with these guys early on, is like calling my old network to get fights. And everybody was just playing games. You know, everybody wants their team to win. So it wasn't like to put guys up and test them and evenly like see good fights and let them grow from that. It was like, how many fights can we win? And let's find the easiest guy out there who's 0-0. And let's say that you're 0-0 and you got 20 fights into your belt or whatever it is. That's all the shit that was going on. Scott brought that all. He cleaned a ton of that up. He made it very competitive. He started a whole Rolodex of these guys, and he was like the gatekeeper. If you wanted to fight in shows, you called him, and he was the matchmaker. He had all the contacts. All the guys were coming through him at some point.
So what happened?
What do you mean?
Are we still doing that? What's going on?
Nah, the thing is, you have people that can throw more money at it than I'm ever going to throw at this stuff, So
and how much time do you have?
Yeah. I mean, so you stay pure. What you can do is you can affect the people that you're with. And, I always said this, I take care of the ones that show up. So does it disgust me that these schools are out there? Yeah, and there's plenty of them, and there's schools that are going to keep taking these people. They're going to advertise about what they're going to do for you. But then what are they offering up? What are they really going to do? What are they really going to teach you? I can talk, one of my best friends in the state, Rick McCoy, and, I've worked with him, I don't know how long with GCA, and, and he spent money out of his own pocket to the tune of almost $30,000 to clean up all the legislation in the state, because it's so corrupt as far as promoters be able to do what they want, and these guys had no experience. But even these schools now, you know what I mean? Like I said, they're stealing.
Stealing.
They are. They're stealing.
Just like they did with the traditional martial arts.
Yeah. You know what? But the thing is, that's not. You have to maintain your own. And it sounds cliche, but it was martial arts. But you have to maintain your own honor code. When I go to bed at night, I go to bed and I sleep well because I know I did the right thing. Or even if I did the wrong thing, it was based on good intent and I correct it.
Right.
These guys, man, there's just some shady folks out there who just take.
Mike Hess.
I was about to say, so should like when you guys were beating up bullies, shouldn't you be outing guys that are taking money or is the system just skewed to where then you become the pariah?
I wouldn't rock the boat before. I was, take the high road kind of thing. But you know what? There's a time and a place for everything. And I'm in a time and a place where, I'm definitely ready to call out a lot of these guys.
Gloves are off now.
I've taken a lot of, I've turned my cheek many times. I've heard a lot of bullshit. I know who's on the front end of this. I know who's put in the time. I've never claimed to be some multi-world champion, blah, blah, blah. I fought for different reasons. I was on a different journey. I wasn't chasing belts. We got shows going, Scott and I, in the Midwest years ago because we wanted a platform. We wanted our guys to be able to go to a place, not a bar, not the street, not a club, and compete with certain sets of rules and create rankings and belts and all that stuff, because what did they have? They had platforms on the West Coast. It was impossible to get into those networks unless those guys were your coaches or in your gym, hence Kung Lee. Look, Kung Lee, I know. I was there, I seen how that stuff worked, and it was like, wow, they don't just it's not a Rocky movie where you're in your gym and you're working hard and then somebody notices you, and then the newspaper turns up, and no, I didn't know you call the newspaper. You put in a press release.
Yes, sir.
You go and you mark this. I had no clue, right? So that part of it, but the reality is, I was really on the arrow tip, and guys like Scott who stepped in with his own time, and this guy's always held down other jobs. He's always been working with gov stuff or this or law enforcement or whatever it is. So how many hours do you have in a day? And I remember at some point talking with him, and he had the GCA thing going, and he was still working with, I think, some WKs. I mean, he had his hands full.
All over the place.
And everybody else is calling him, hey, can you get me a fight, coach? Hey, can you do this for me, coach? Hey, can you do that? There's a point where you're like, look, man, I can only do, one or two things really good.
Right.
And what I respected was he didn't want to sacrifice. Like, if something was moving in a good direction, he didn't hold on to it. And he was like, look, if these guys can come in, put more into it, make it better, I'm going to step aside.
There you go.
And he did that time and time again. You know, and then
so he's not getting all the credit.
No, he's not getting hardly any credit.
I don't want it.
And that kind of starts to piss me off because
Sure.
at the end of the day, I'm not looking for it either, you know, with the tiger and all that stuff. I kept my mouth shut for years. But there's a point where you go, you know, especially if you're looking over at your friend or someone that you respect and has come through these, you know, this whole journey, and I've been a big part of it, that I get to say that, you know, he doesn't have to. That's my job.
That's right.
To look over and go, look, you guys are assholes. Give him some love. The dude's put in tons of work. The sport of Muay Thai has grown a lot because of this guy right here. Mm-hmm. Does he have to? Did he have to fight in Lumpini 100 times to get that type of respect? Like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, he was on the ground out here grinding. Mm-hmm. Putting shows up. We were going and renting bars, getting robbed by these dirty, crooked bastards to go put an event together and not get paid on tickets, not get paid on anything, and end up, you know, driving across the country, putting guys in hotel rooms, having them compete, creating belts for them, right? And yeah, I mean, that's something to say, you know, not the guys that just jumped in on the bandwagon later and said, wow, look at this shit. And now we're going to come in, we're going to give it some cool name or the Rage of the Night Cage or whatever the fuck it is. And then, you know, jump in, get a bunch of money together. I mean, we were finding all that. He was doing that stuff. I did it on a low level. I did Warehouse Wars 1, Warehouse Wars 2. Right? It was straight.
That sounds cool.
Under, not regulated. You know what I mean? And then Scott, he's always had a little bit more, well, a lot more. And that's why he can do what he does. And he's got these jobs that he was, because he's very straight. You know, he looks at things and he goes, okay, we can do that, but we can do it the right way, though. We can get a sanctioning body, or we can get things regulated, and it can be safer. Where I was a little bit more just Wild West on it, you know. So he took that kind of promotion thing and brought it to another level, and then was smart, you know.
You guys are a good team.
You know, he gets in, he goes with organization like the WK that's been around for a very long time. Kick, WKA, these are old, and he sits, he learns, he gets close to those things, you know. But if these guys aren't, you know, if aren't going to take it to the right way or the right level, whatever happens, you know, he steps out and he continues on and he learns from each you know, thing that he's been involved in.
Gets better and probably more jaded too.
That happens. That can happen. But I think we're both at a point in our life where we're older. We realize that what's important is, you know, just a small circle of friends and family around you, and the family that we create ourselves, because ours eventually aren't here anymore. Right. So I think we realize over time that, yeah, we can complement each other. We don't have the same strengths. No. You know? But
and you're not supposed to anyway.
No, and that's the thing. Like, he's open without an ego, without one. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've come in and he steps aside. He gives me all this respect and love. Like, hey, and there's a lot of guys that the ego would never allow that. I got students that have been under me for many years that have this issue, and it's sad. It saddens me because it's not about that. And when you can, like, really set aside and be like, hey, man, this is my teacher. This is the guy who, you know, and be honest and not be in the background going, oh, you know, I don't like to, I want to be in the limelight. I want to be the man. I want to be the everyone goes to. You know, there's a part of humility and being humble in that. He embraces that. That's why Scott and I are still, I mean, how long has this been? I mean,
this doesn't usually happen either. I mean,
how long has this lineage been? How many guys can you say in today's MMA world that have had falling outs and that don't talk and that don't, I mean, over money, over ego, over whatever the case is, where we've just, I mean, I could go away for 4 years, 5 years on an island, be a bit of a hermit, just do my Muay Thai thing, pop up, nothing changes. It's like, you know, it's a rare thing. So I just want to say that, yeah, you guys need to give him some love and respect, because he's put in the time. He's earned, if you want to have titles, because I'm not a big title guy, Crew, Ajan, but I get, you know, I gave him that promotion, and that was a blessing through the guys that my lineage is through, which is to Thailand. So people can say what they want and criticize what they want, but the reality is the guys that I'm talking about, they sanction fights in Lumpini Stadium, Channel 3, Channel 7, the real Muay Thai circuit. And if they're okay with saying, Sean, yeah, this guy's done a lot for the sport, we recognize that. you know, go give them some love from us. That's a pretty big deal.
That's huge.
Really.
Jeez Louise.
So, good job, man.
Thank you. You know, it's I tell you, it's been the whole process has been, you know, we learn along the way. It's trial and error. But like I said, you know, everything we've done is based on good intent and helping other folks out. And it's not, you know, it's not even like, I don't know what the word you use, but you know, we've been brothers now for 20 years. You know what I mean? So it's not work when you go out there and you're dealing with a guy like Sean, or I'm bouncing stuff off him, or even if it's something, you know.
Oh, a battle.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
it's
not a battle for you. You enjoy it,
you know what? It's simple. Hey, what's the right thing to do?
and then do it.
Then just do it. You know what I mean? And you know, and I step back, and it's not, you know, I hand it off to the right folks, and if they can do it better, or they have more means, more motivation. You know, I've been doing this for a good bit, and he's been doing it for a good bit. It's time for other people to step up, and, you know, for people to take it. So guys like, you know, look at Paul, and I see Paul's on here, and I see Chris is on here, and, you know, Paul's asking about.
Paul's a ninja.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you could
Ninja.
if you could ask Paul's he had a question on there, right?
Yeah, Paul had a question, and Chris had a question as well, and you know, Paul had a question about basically who's our. Who makes you say, damn, that dude's got it in any style? Wow. You know, I didn't want to say, I can't say that I like his personality, but I think Conor McGregor has
What?
I think he's killed it as far as.
He's genius.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't like the way he does things.
Genius.
You don't have to like it. But the guy is.
Put that knife away. You're making me nervous.
The guy's very good at what he does. Yeah, no, I think I'm good, but
You're good.
yeah. Thank you,
You got a
though.
fight coming up too.
This is how we do it in Thailand.
I got a drive coming up.
All right, good man. Straight laced, like you said.
But yeah, you know, there's a lot of guys. You know, as far as Thai goes, you know, I've for the last probably 3 or 4 years, just because it's my style. I've always liked Yod. You know, I like his straightforward.
Sanchai. I have to say Sanchai.
Yeah.
Oh, you know that's a lot of people's. I finally got to see that guy.
He's a wizard. He's the wizard.
I've seen Yod too, man. Just what a tank.
Quite a small guy. Any of the guys from that Thai fight series, the Thai guys are amazing.
You know, and as far as Chris, you know, as far as the Thai scoring, you know, it's, you know, you're in Thailand, and you know, every one of the guys out there, you know, you know you're going to get a fair shake at things, and even though, you know, sport itself can be corrupt, the guys that score it know what they're doing. They know how to point, you know, and you know, you have an A, you have a B, you have a C, you know, as far as what your ranking is in the scoring on it. You know, here stateside, it's kind of sad. You know, you watch these guys, and their personal opinions come in. You even look at lion fight, and their highest scoring criteria is an elbow. You know, so if you get elbowed in the face, you score higher than a kick to the head. You know what I mean? And that's not the case. You know what I mean? And your actual stance, you know, you're staying strong, you're keeping your base, moving forward. That doesn't come into play. You know, if something doesn't move you, but you threw it, you're still scoring high. You know, Thais know this. I mean, these guys grew up with it. These guys here, you can go to 3 different judges, and you can get 3 different answers. On the highest promotion here in the States, which is lion fight, you get 3 different answers. Then you trickle down to each state, and they have no idea how to score it. Yeah, so literally, I was brought on by Virginia last year. I am their head official for Thai. I am their head official for training for the state of Virginia for pro fighters. Because they wanted me to make everybody else smart, because these guys are terrible. They're terrible. Like,
you get a lot of guys crossing in from boxing, MMA, and these are all different sports. And Muay Thai in itself is completely different. I mean, it took me a very long time to look at a fight and understand it, especially overseas. You know, and being around with Thai people. I mean, if I was to call a fight, you know, 10 fights out of 10, maybe half of those I'd get right, because
Really?
I'm looking at the punching, I'm looking at the leg kicks, I'm looking at but yeah, man, Thai boxing scored. It's a different sport, you know.
Paul, I can't have an opinion. Listen, you are way, way, way out of your league the other night. I'm a little upset you're calling me out right now.
Paul,
she was way out of your league.
Bring your girlfriend.
Yeah, Paul, she was way. And I can pick Connor. Man. Paul, I can pick Connor if I want to. Quit being a bully. You and Cordero.
Sanchai.
You and Cordero need to quit hanging out.
Is he asking MMA about MMA?
Yeah, he says
guys?
he's floored. He's floored right now. Like, are you really floored?
Yeah, he's floored that you chose Connor as your guy that you are impressed with. Chris Tyre also, like, okay, so one thing that he said in here was, what are the discrepancies that happen because of non-traditional schools not preparing their students for real Thai scoring? Like, where are they falling short, these non-traditional Thai schools?
Where we start?
They're
it's too much?
Nah, I mean, you can start at the base, which is they don't know the sport. You know, they don't know how to walk. They don't know, you know, the difference. Dude, I saw a guy get a standing 8 count one time from a teep kick.
Kickboxing is not Thai boxing.
Yeah, so
it's not the same. Glory fighting is not Thai boxing. You know, I've seen guys go into Glory that just mop these fighters up, but no, they don't get it, because if you block with your shoulder, that's a block. We don't consider that a block. In Thai boxing, if you're not checking the kick and they're hitting your arm, they're scoring.
They're scoring. They're hitting you.
Yeah, and they're hitting and they're damaging you.
They could break your arm.
Because they will break your arm. Petzilla, an old trainer of mine, he broke many arms. You know, a 3-trick pony, those 3 tricks would just destroy you. And he was devastating with his kicks. So everybody just wants to, you know, they're not preparing for Muay Thai, you know. They're going into it with boxing knowledge or whatever the case is, and then they tweak the rules a bit in the judging, because, you know, maybe it's not fast, and maybe they hate the clinch, maybe it's boring, you know, just like jiu-jitsu in the early day, right? You look at it and you go, oh, that's not, stand them up, right? But it's very technical. It's, you know,
and technical guys look at it and get it, just like jiu-jitsu guys look at when they go to the ground and they get excited because they're like, they're seeing all the,
and it's brutal work. That work that's going in those clinches and those elbow strikes and those knee strikes. It's brutal, man. It's
so, you know, you just got to learn the scoring system, and you got to unify an actual scoring system, and people here don't know how to do it yet, you know, and so
ego again, right, Scott?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Nobody wants to unify because
mine's better.
Yeah, right. It's the who's got the bigger dick syndrome. Let's just go to Thailand.
Whoa.
Sit with those people. Sit down and build. Learn from there and bring it to here.
What an idea.
And unify it. You know?
You know, if you just sit there and use their scoring system as a whole and understand it, you know, you say, okay, so you have an A, B, C, and D scoring system as far as what is effective striking, and what's going to score if a person walks through everything, what's going to score highest. Now, if you add that you're moving somebody and you move somebody off balance, how does that score, you know, higher or lower? Or if you're actually causing damage, visible damage, and you can see that on the person, how does that score? Because a punch can score higher than a kick if the head snaps all the way back and the guy's cut.
Effective blow, right?
Yeah.
And in Thailand, it's the same. A punch, they say, is don't score a punch. A punch is scored if there's an effect. You know what I mean? If the guy buckles his knees, of course it's scored.
Absolutely.
It's looked at that way. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to call it Muay Thai, and that's what we're trying to do here, then do Muay Thai.
Yep.
And stick with the rules that were developed and created in the motherland.
God, I can't get away from it. All these analogies, it's perfect for what I do in the production world. You got these guys, they buy themselves a camera, and they call themselves a videographer or photographer, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. They have no clue. It's like what you guys are saying is these guys go, oh yeah, we could put on a fight production. We're a martial arts school, we can do it, and then they just pretend they figure it out as they go, as opposed to going to the source, like you said, which
it's already there. It's already
there.
Done. It's done.
Just get the information that you need and then apply it. But it's lazy, isn't it?
That, and there's a lot of other things that are there, you know. Well, this is the States. We want to do things a little different. We want to make it a little more exciting. We think this is that. Well, then don't call it Muay Thai. Call it kickboxing. That's what that generic term's there for.
Right. And the Dutch did that.
Yeah, Dutch kickboxing or whatever. Dutch Muay Thai, whatever they want to call it. It's not. It's Dutch martial arts. You know what I mean? Don't call it Muay Thai.
It's just like everything. He's spot on. It's just like everything else. They're going to figure out a better way. What's faster paced? You know, they're
What's
into
more exciting?
Glory's going to be a faster paced game. And that's what's going to make
Glory.
It's going to make more money here because it doesn't include the clinch. But Thai traditionalist, you have to know that specific, you know, portion of it. You have to know how to score it because there are going to be Thai fights, and there's that 10% of people out there that actually want to do that within martial arts. It's a smaller group than your kickboxing group. Kickboxing is a lot faster. You know, when you can't clinch somebody to slow it down and to dominate in that capacity, people want to see that. They want to see the, you know, just that loud, really fast gladiator.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, Glory is awesome. Man.
You know, but it's not Thai.
Right. I love, but see, maybe just because I'm inside with you guys, but I love the clinch. I feel like that's exciting.
So do I, but it takes a lot of time to appreciate it. I didn't really like grappling. I mean, I remember the first UFCs. I'm like, who is this dude, man? Like, this guy shouldn't be winning. This is such
bullshit. Listen to the crowds. Go to an event and listen to the crowds.
And at the end of the day, right, promoters got to get paid. They got to get tickets sold. The whole idea is, like, they're not in it to, like, produce great fighters and build platforms to make these kids, but it's a business.
So yeah, absolutely. You know, listen, everybody's going to be upset by the end of this because I know the people behind the scenes, and I can.
You might as well just make a list right now that we'll just go right down the list.
I can allude to the folks. People that butthurt are going to be butthurt. They know they know I mean them.
Shame on them. Shame on them.
But you look at, you know, I love K Jilla, great promotion. TCB, I'm like, you know what I mean? It started off as Thai championship boxing, but they didn't make enough money, so they added kickboxing, and then they added boxing.
I love that TBC thing
that TCB.
Originally. There was no shin pads.
So
well, I mean, those kids could.
The original the first two TCB, I ran those two, and it was Thai. And then, you know, I love Brooks Miller, great guy, but he's got pushed by the promoter to get more people in there and to speed up the pace. So no more Y crew, no more Muay. You know,
it's
just
Muay Thai.
Yeah. Then you're sitting out there.
None of that.
Not even Thai music anymore.
It's not Muay
really.
Thai.
It wasn't even Thai music. They came out to whatever rock and roll song they wanted.
Drake.
So they actually came back to us and said, "Hey, why is it for 2 years now you haven't competed on these shows?" And I told them why. So now when we go there, we play Thai music, and I get to, you know, have a hand in who the judges are, so they know what the hell's going on. Otherwise, we won't compete. You know, so TCB is coming back as far as, in my opinion, but they're one of the ones that sold out to get more people, more asses in seats.
Did it work?
I don't know. I don't. You know, honestly, I don't care.
I know you don't care.
You know,
it just depends on what your objective is. Are you promoting
curious.
an art form?
Listen,
and you're trying to preserve it?
There's different ones out there, and I've seen guys toot their own horn. I'll call out, you know, RFS did the same thing, and they said how great they are and how fair their matches are. And then you go out there, man, and they're just trying to throw people out there. And they don't deserve to be fighting each other. They don't deserve to be calling it, like, they're trying to get all these different schools just so they can get more asses in seats. And I'm like, so you put Ty in a cage? Like, well, come on, man.
Do you remember, Scott, putting on a production at the End Zone? Do you remember that? In Chantilly?
Ago, yeah.
It was like 4 years ago or something like that, 2, 3, I don't know. It was a while ago. So I used to work there, and I taught a Muay Thai class there for beginners. You know, get people interested in the thing, and then I would, you know, push them over to Scott if they look like they were serious. You know, kind of like your C school out in Thailand. And Scott came out. We brought some of the guys out for a smoke at one point. It was great. It was fantastic. I was excited because, you know, like I'm in with the End Zone with those guys. I'm in with those guys. I get to see the inner workings at that time. Scott and his people did a promotion, and it was great. It was fantastic. Everything ran smoothly. Perfect. But then there was a guy that shall I'm going to use your terminology, shall remain nameless, who goes, you know, let's go with these other guys. And I told that guy, I said, don't go with any other guys. You're going to get disappointed. You don't because the guy didn't understand. He was just looking to rent out the space, and he wanted to be able to rent it out to highest dollar, whoever, right? And I try to explain to him, look, dude, if you roll the dice with somebody else, you're going to be in a whole world of hurt, because it's not going to be fun for you to rent your space out to something that you don't know. I'm telling you right now, if Scott's part of it, it's going to be legit. It's going to be ran smooth. You're not even have to worry about anything. Just make sure the space is open. That's all you got to do. Guy didn't listen to me. He allowed some other production from promotion from like up north,
somewhere in
Pennsylvania, and it was a complete cluster. It was a nightmare. It was a headache, and then they haven't had a promotion there since, because it was such a bad experience for them.
Is this the indoor arena place that you were using?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. When you were involved with those events, they were building quite nice.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, somebody gets a good idea.
Well, you're always going to get that, man. You're always going to get somebody looking down what you're doing. I mean, this happens in Thailand on every level. This guy sells bananas. He makes 2 baht. Now there's 12 banana stands, all next to each other. There's not much original ideas going on, you know?
That's why you sit back and you know, the frustration is always going to be there. You know, can you do it better? You know, yes. But people are going to, you know, they get hustled. So you got guys, like I said, they go out there, maybe they have a little bit more time, they have a little bit more money, and they're trying to hustle people for their money. And there's some legit shows too. You know, John Rollo puts on a really good show with Shogun. But some of these smaller shows, they're thieving. They're taking people's money. They're not giving them the product. They're promoting their own school.
Yeah,
they're mismatching on their fights. It's disgusting.
Say.
You can't stop it, but you just don't support it. You know, so you'd walk away from it. And all this time of doing all of this stuff, it's easier for me to sit back there and go, I can't control that. I can't control that. I wouldn't do any of it that way. But you take care of the people that show up, and then you find the venues that are fair. Like, I don't want any of my guys to have an easy fight. I want a 50-50 fight.
You've always been that way.
Yeah, I don't want people calling me up and go, I got that real wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I got that real easy one for you. I don't want that. You know, especially as amateurs, I want them to see everything. I'd rather have a 5-5. Yeah.
Sorry.
I'd rather have a 5-5 amateur, you know, than a 10-0 amateur who learned nothing the entire time because he sold a lot of tickets. But my 5-5 guy, he's been through wars. He's been in situations where his cardio gave out. The guy was stronger. The guy had better jits. The guy had better striking. The guy broke his nose. He saw his own blood for the first time. He's been through all those things. Yeah. So when he turns pro and he's had progression on each one, you put my 5-5 guy against that 10-0 guy and watch what happens.
To a whole different story.
It is a different story. You know, Dustin Pig. You know, he was 10-4 as an amateur. Tough fights. Had some losses, dude. And he goes out there as a pro. 10-4 is not. It's a good record, but it's not UFC. You know, that's a UFC level guy. Gave him tough fights. All these guys, they all had tough fights as amateurs. Some of them didn't even have winning records. Kenny Gujuro is 9-4 as a pro right now. He was a 500 amateur. You know, but it gave him tough fights. You know, I mean, he had tough fights.
Can I give you a little, just what's on my mind right now? I mean, respectfully, I really think, Scott, that you need to be in. I'd like to see. I feel like Sean's doing this a lot more now. I'd like to see you guys more online. You know what I mean? Like on the camera, talking. I just feel like I feel like half of the problem is that light doesn't get shine where it needs to get shine. And I'm not just talking about this, like the fest that we're having right now where we're going, well, this is wrong and this needs to be changed. But actually seeing, well, how do you guys train people? If they see the difference in how hard people are working in this area, they go online, they go on YouTube and they see something, they go, oh, well, these guys are the real deal. That's what I want. They don't waste their time, you know, wondering if they went to the right school or not. And you got schools like, what's the big, Jeremy's?
Capital.
Yeah, Capital, who they got money for days. They've got schools all over the place. And they've got great promotion. They promote themselves really well.
But they'll expose themselves. Listen, you know, in anything you do, you sit back there and you know, if you put it on your website, make sure it's real. Make sure it's right. And you let your people be an advocate for you as far as by winning, by losing, and then showing up. Nobody wants to fight us in this area, very rarely. And that's one of the schools that turns us down historically all the time. They don't want to fight us. There's a lot of local schools.
You'll mess up their record.
For what? For an amateur fight that nobody gives a shit about, that nobody reads about? Because you don't want your guy to get better, you don't want him to be tested, then you're a bunch of cowards.
That's a good point.
You're a bunch of cowards.
That's a good point.
You know, nobody cares about an amateur. Nobody's joining a school based on somebody's amateur record. That has never happened. I don't think anybody's Googled and go, hey, how do their amateurs do? That never happens. You know what? You want to know how about a school, how many pro fighters they have, and what's their record? You know what I mean? How well do they do in that top level competition? How well they do against the local pros? Then you'll tell you if you're in a good school or not. But none of these other schools want to do that. They don't want to play that game. Dude, listen, I've been around this a long time. That's why I step away from a lot of this stuff. I just take care of my guys.
Your guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And you go out there and you go, hey, dude, if you win, be quiet. You know what I mean? If you lose, you be more quiet. You know what I mean? And that's the way it is. But these guys go out there and they toot their horn on whiz-bang shit, and you got up there and you open up their website and all this flashing sparkler stuff comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's all for show. And thank you for doing that. And I hope those people join, because maybe it's because you created that interest. You created that interest for them to take time to do MMA, to do judo, to do jiu-jitsu. And when they get to the point where they go, this is terrible, but I have a need now to feed myself.
Yeah.
Where do I go from here?
Right.
Let me take that 10%, and I usually do.
So you're just looking for the cream of the crop when it comes to that.
Yeah, dude, I want people who want to train. Like I said, you don't have to be a fighter. You just have to want to be better. When those people show up, they want to be better.
I'm so conflicted by what you're saying. Let me say real quick. David Arvello says, watching Sean say some of the things he said today, I've heard Scott say a lot of those same things to me over the past 3.5 years. So I see where it comes from. Thank you.
Yeah, Dave Arvello is so anybody that doesn't know what Sucker Punch is, he's Dave started underneath me at Sucker Punch as a, you know, he was managing fighters and he was bringing guys in, and Dave's one of those guys. Once again, after a bit, I said he was young, still is young, very motivated, but I'm like, your collection of names, your motivation, you're getting better at this than I am. You know what I mean? So I've got my hands on all these different things. So he was one of those guys that ran. So he's one of the agents for Sucker Punch right now. So he's working with Hamper and he's working with Butler all the time, going to some of these bigger shows. But you know, and I appreciate that, because yeah, I've mentored him for the last 3.5 years. He's listened to everything. He's applied it. And he's become, once again, that's what you shoot for. You shoot for those guys to become better than you.
Can you explain what Sucker Punch is to the audience?
It's the largest MMA management company in the world.
Hmm.
You know, so, you know, all those...
They also manage kickboxing, Muay
Yeah,
Thai,
yep.
right?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is stuff that, once again, you don't think about it, and as a... Like, I don't think I do anything special. Sean doesn't think he does anything special. But we've been around this for a long time. And like I said, you have good intent, you have a good spirit, you have a good heart, and you take care of people. That's what you do. You give them your craft, you give them your personality, and you take care of people to the best of your ability. And then if somebody's better at it, you let them do it. You know, how many schools, how many places you go where the top guy has to be the top guy forever?
Oh, you were just talking about that.
Yeah, you know, it has to be. Well, you know what? We all get older. So what's my strength now? You know, I used to be an enforcer in my own school. Rick Humphrey enforces now. I have to be smarter now. You know, my skills are somewhere else. You know what I mean? My skills are by who I know, not who I can beat up. You know, those days are done. You know, they're done. Like, I don't even want to go back to them. You know, so our strength is in other places. And as we get older, we're going to have to shift it again and again and again. You might be better at something someday. You know, these guys, Paul, you know, Paul's a great example. I used to hold pads for everybody.
Oh, yeah, you did.
I don't hold pads for anybody anymore. You know why? Paul's better at it.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's better at it.
Paul is an amazing pad man.
Which Chase Walden, when he came on, was talking about how important, what made him different was how he holds pads and things, and how important it is.
It's so important.
It's a skill.
It's a big skill.
Yeah,
it's a
listen,
big,
you know,
skill.
you're out there and you're simulating a fight. You know, you have to put things together that make sense, and you have to be able to catch, and you have to be able to move, and you have to be able.
Timing.
Yeah, it's all this stuff. You're simulating everything, and then you do it. Everything I've ever done, I've done it because I was the best at it, and then until the point where I wasn't. In my own circle, when somebody surpassed me, because you give them every tool to do that, and you go, once again, I hope you're better than me. My plan is for you to be better than me. So these guys come forward, and they are. You know what I mean? You let Paul be better. You know, Paul right now with holding pads and wrapping hands. Wrapping hands is UFC level.
For sure, he's stitched.
Yeah, like
He's
no
like
joke.
The little stitch plus his pad work is. I'm really big on the pad work stuff. I think when I can't get in there and do that, it's going to be hard for me to want to teach. You know, I feel like I have to be kind of hands-on that way, at least with padding. Sparring, maybe not so much. You know, your brain going to go dead someday. You take thousands of punches. But padding and understanding timing, distance, range, and feeling your student, feeling where he's strong, where he's weak, how you can develop him through pads, you know, and I see a lot of bad pad work. It's way better in the past few years than it's been. You know, a lot of guys, there's a lot of information, and a lot of guys are taking the time to learn good quality pad work, whether it's just boxing or mixing boxing with MMA or Muay Thai classic pad work. But Paul is freak, man. He's a top-notch pad holder. I would take Paul to Thailand, put him next to top-level pad guys, and he holds very similar, if not better, because he implements a lot of good boxing and handwork. Where in Thailand, it's not a lot of that. You know, it's pretty basic 4-punch combo, pop, 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 straight punches, maybe an uppercut or two. But you're not going to get that flow like a boxer mitts his guys, and he blends the two beautifully. So
why is he so good? He trained under you guys, right?
Oh, not me. I'm more so Scott, and I think he's just one of those guys that
just a natural.
He loves it.
It doesn't stop.
He loves
learning.
it, man. He spends his time, his own personal, like he goes out and he sacrifices tons of his life to be it because he really enjoys it. I don't think it's work for him. I think he absolutely enjoys what he does. So if you like something that much, normally you're going to get pretty good at it. I
got a quick technical question for you guys. Whenever I wrap my hands myself for training, I must have at some point broken my knuckles because I still have a lingering pain when I wrap. And I've wrapped my hands so many different ways, but these two knuckles, after about 2 rounds, they start.
It doesn't have to be broken. You're getting older. You're getting arthritic. You know, it's wear
and tear. You need to
tear.
take care of them without the reps, buddy. Little acupuncture.
Oh, yeah?
You know, massage. Just try to get the hand better.
Quit dragging them on the ground.
They're not healed.
You're the one with the abnormally long arms, Scott.
And if you're a big puncher and you're just a big powerhouse, then you put 2 wraps on my damn hand.
My arms abnormally long.
Yeah.
A little bit. You kind of got this.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I looked at a photo of you when I was putting together that. When I was
ape arms.
First of all, thank you for being more, having more stuff online so I could find a nice picture of you. You, on the other hand, all the best pictures of him are like grainy, like telephone shots. I'm like, man.
You'll never get pictures of me.
I cannot find a good picture of Scott.
I'll send you some.
Oh, there you go.
I've got some.
Got some really good pictures of him?
Him getting wrapped.
Yeah.
Ready to scrap. Yeah.
Please do. That'd be awesome. Yeah. That'd be awesome. We're starting to do some stuff. We're doing a commercial right now for Disciple.
I was harassed to do all that web stuff. That took like 2 years of
people harassing me. I'm so glad you're on it now.
But yeah, I'm starting to get out there a little more.
Because you guys need to do that service. I mean, that's part of that thing that you were talking about, getting it out there. In today's age,
I think it's, I took a lot of shit after this Tiger thing and a lot of stuff. Social media, it was not a friend of mine for a long time. I didn't realize, and now I realize it doesn't matter what we do out here. There's going to be haters. There's going to be people, this and that. But it is a duty to get out there and put yourself out there. I could give a shit what anybody has to say. I'm going to give it to them the way I've seen it come. I'm going to be honest. And I'm going to tell people how it is.
Good.
And they're going to like it or they're not going to like it. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's still, but initially, the huge turnoff of all this for me was like, I just had to eat a huge shit sandwich that was not true and see guys post this type of videos, these types of things, do interviews that were not true.
About you or just general?
About the building of one of the biggest gyms in the world. About one of the gyms that have influenced more Muay Thai practitioners in the world than anywhere else. You know, and it came through that little gym and that little idea with that guy from Toledo, Ohio. And that's a fact, you know. Did I build the 6 Rye facility that it is today? And would I have ever? I don't know. But I know what I did when I did it and what the effect had in the world of Muay Thai. It changed. It even in Thailand, it changed, even in a bad way, as far as how it, you know, the McDojos, the Muay Thais. I mean, it became so much about money for those guys that they didn't put any ceiling on any, no caps on numbers. Anything they had to do to get somebody through that website to say, yes, I'll book, they agreed or said that they had, or whatever the case was, you know. So, yeah, that's major. That's a major thing. The first MMA sanctioned fight ever, the only person to ever have a work permit that stated as a Thai boxing trainer, which is not, you can't do that anymore. It's against, it's banned. The only people that can get that document is Thais. But I had that, you know. So for me, that's, why not be proud? Why not say it? Whether the people want to say, oh, he's full of shit, blah, blah. No, I'm not. That's go do your research. You know, there's documents, there's things that you can find on that stuff if you want to dig hard enough.
That bothers me so much that, like, I'm sitting here, you know, and you guys know I've been off and on, you know, with you guys, and I watch from the sidelines, right? I watch what you guys, from what I've seen. I can't say I've seen everything, right? But I watch what you guys have gone through, and I look at you, and you're saying these things. I wasn't out there in Thailand with you. I just heard what I heard, right? What you dealt with, and I go, why is Sean dealing with? Like, why are you going through this? Why? I feel like, and this is totally ignorant, but it is from a guy that's removed from it. Why are you even letting that even be a part of you at all? Like, all this negativity and stuff, we know that's not true, and you know that's not true, and you were taken advantage of, I'm sure, and all this stuff, and you did something that was very, very difficult. Most people, no one does. You just said you were the guy you were Farang with the. No one's done that. You've done that, but still, these things affect you. You know what I mean? Like, these things get to you. I feel like. I mean, am I wrong, or?
I feel like I really let go a lot of that stuff I was holding. Really, I do. I mean, that's why I can talk about it now. I mean, I think a long time I didn't even want to get into that stuff. And there's a point where you look and you go, what have I done wrong?
Right.
How does this happen? You know, well, I made bad choices. I went into partnerships that in my guts told me this isn't going to be good. But it was an opportunity. Where I came from, there wasn't a lot of opportunities. Right. Unless you want to go work in a factory or go do that kind of thing. So I went for it. You know, I just jumped in with 2 feet. And not only that, there's a huge naive, like, you know what? You guys are good at this. I'm going to let you be good at that. I'm going to believe in you guys and that you're going to do your part, because I'm here to do my part, and we're all going to be successful. And life doesn't work out that way sometimes.
And it sucks to see that.
But it's also put me where I am today. It's also given me this major education in all these awesome ways. Like Scott, nobody can take away all these things that he's done. You know, no one can take that. No one can take those things. Maybe there's only 8 guys living left, right, that know who opened those gyms, who the leases, up until just a few months ago, okay? So, but it's okay. Like, when I say it's okay, I mean that. Like, it's not just, you know, if I felt the way I did after the first 2 or 3 years when it was, like, literally on my back, that's rough, you know? And, of course, as a martial artist, as just a person, you want people to like you. You want people to respect you. You want people to admire what you're doing. You're putting in all this work. It's nice to have people go, wow, man, you know, thank you, or good job, or whatever it is. Not guys go, hey, rest in peace, motherfucker, and you know, you didn't do this. You're a liar. You're a piece of shit. You're a con man. You're a bullshito. Fucking look, man. I've done all the stuff. I'm gonna get people that are gonna disagree with me. Yeah. At the end of the day, the people that were there, the people that I care about, You know, no. And I learned a lot from that. They can never take. I went to the University of Thailand. Okay, that was my education. And it was not only in Muay Thai, but just life in general. And I think if you can go through that, and then you can go back to that place and start again and open another gym and know that this can happen again and again. But just, this is what I want to do.
You're so much better now, though, because of all that stuff.
Absolutely.
You're able to look at, like you said, you were looking at, you look at fights and you see the, did that make an impact or not? Well, now in life, you're doing this gym now, and now how much experience do you have where you can watch out for these guys? You know,
it's different. It's different for sure. When I really started to feel extremely good about it was just recently in the past couple of years, and I think that's age and where I am in a culture that appreciates guys that are older and says to you, you know, they come in and it's not like P-Sean, it's Lung Sean, or it's Ajan, or it's and a Thai guy, you know, that's been on an island for 30 some years, who trained all the best, calls you up and says, hey, come down, I need you to work with my guy. He's getting ready for a fight. I'm just a farang, you know what I mean? But when he says, no, he's good like this, and that's, man, if I can be close to that, you know, where these guys are bred to do that, I feel good about it. And I feel like I can stand in any room with any level guy, all of them, and I can see things that they're not doing right or wrong, or I can help in some way. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm saying I have that wisdom, and I feel that confident to go in and help anyone in a combat fighting system, whether it's MMA, boxing, Muay Thai. I've dedicated my life to it. I'm a geek with it. Doesn't mean I was a world champion, best fighter of all time. No, it means like a guy like Freddie Roach or these guys. He just put his time in, and he was so passionate, and he went and put himself around the best people, and he took things and he just developed this style of training and teaching, and he was very successful, you know. So
I think a lot of with Sean, you know, it comes with age, the experience, and the acceptance of things, you know. Because if you look at what he's done out there, you know, when somebody tells you at a younger age, you didn't do this, you know, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you know, and the fact, one, that they're talking about you in that same sentence, you know, means you did something. You know what I mean? There's smoke, there's fire. You did something. If they're not talking about you is when you have to be worried.
That's the problem.
Yeah, if nobody's talking about you. But the fact that even if it's negative, you know what I mean, then that's fine. But you know you're in that conversation, and that people, whether they like you or they hate you, you're in that conversation. They know something happened. And then you look, so we've had this success here, but those aren't my successes. You know what I mean? You're talking about a system. So you're not talking about a person, you're talking about a system. So, you know, he's had wins in the UFC. He's had wins in Bellator. He's had wins in Glory. He's had wins in Lion Fight. He's had wins in Lumpini. You know what I mean? So who can say that? So who in Thailand can say that right now? You know what I mean? So maybe guys at Tiger Muay Thai can say that. You know what I mean? But were they their students? Or did they get people from that were already successful and then they came in? Or did they raise them from this point here all the way up? Not many people can say that. Not many people at all can say that it was ground level, my student, took them all the way to the top. So there's an acceptance factor, too, of it doesn't matter what people say anymore because I can go to bed at night and I know what I did. Let them say what they want. I'm happy they're talking. I'm happy they're talking about him. Let them. You know what I mean? Google Sean Douglas. Google that Scott Howard's underneath Sean Douglas. Google that affiliation because now you're checking me out. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care.
It's working for Pretty Boy Floyd, isn't it?
Well, you know what? Once again, you do right. You have good intent. Sleep well at night. That's it. Everybody else, hey, if those people want to go out there and they want to talk all that trash, cross them off a list of people that are going to be invited over for dinner. You just saved yourself money. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's good, and that's healthy. That's
yeah, dude.
I got two questions for you guys. Okay, the last thing was from Chris Tyre telling one of the Ajans to stop staring at him because it's creepy.
That's me.
It's probably you because you keep looking up there, right?
That's me. I mean, I know he's looking at me, so I figured I don't want him to think that I'm not interested.
Yeah, undressing you. So my two questions. Okay, the first one, I don't even know what kind of answer I'm going to get, but I'm going to ask you anyway. I'll start with you, Scott. What are you most afraid of right now?
Yeah, I don't.
Nothing.
No, it's not. It's I don't know if it's a fear. You have all this knowledge, and I guess if there is a fear, is that you're not going to be able to give it to people that are like you. You know what I mean? Like I see everybody's got complaints about the world today and how things could be better, and I look at things and how things could be better. I don't have a fear for myself. Matter of fact, most guys go out there and say it's death or it's this or this. I'm not afraid of that, because I feel like I've lived a very, very full life. Like I've lived a life of an 80-year-old guy. I've done a lot of things. Sean's done a lot of things. So I don't feel like I'm missing that piece. I feel like I have so much more to offer, but it's it's that uphill battle of what is right, what is good, what's good for the sport, what's good for people. But you're competing against all these guys who they're not. I can't say they're evil, but that's probably the term that I would use. You know what I mean? It's like they're just not. They don't have good intent. They're not good people. They're not good for the sport. They're not good humans. They're just not good people. You compete against that, and you feel bad because you're watching these guys suffer, whether it's as a human or as a martial artist. You're watching them, and you can fast track them, but you can't be that guy. You can't go out there and tell them, you're screwing up here. You can't go out there and I'll never poach anybody. Come ask me, but I'll never poach anybody. But I see so many people that I could help. So many people. And not just me. The gym could help. The atmosphere could help. But I can't do it. So if there's a fear or something, it's my own struggle when I go to bed at night, like I was talking about. Should I go say more? Should I do more to point people in the right direction? Or is that tripping over the stay humble side too far?
Sean?
Mine, if we're just talking fear in general, not over
In general.
Thai boxing, I would say that there is a fear that I feel from time to time. It's probably why I'm going to use my body again the way I am in February, that this ride's going to end. That the ability to get on the mat and be like connected with the student and actually be a hands-on guy training like that is starting to shift and change because my body, I'm starting to feel, especially when I come back in this freaking weather, for a while I don't even think about it because I feel so good. For 43, I get a lot of tests. I get a lot of young guys that are
You're 43?
at a good level that come into that place, and I get to still, and of course they come with a lot of respect, and they're probably not coming at me 100% or whatever the case is, but I feel like I could still compete at a pretty high level at 43 years old. And I realize that's coming to an end, and I realize my lifestyle has been really different. So, I don't have 401k things and money waiting for me. I've lived as a martial artist when it was good and when it was bad, and I never broke from that. So there's no big golden nugget sitting somewhere. The reality is, if something happens to me because I use my body the way I do, there's a little fear there that, I might not have a huge security blanket like guys that have taken the typical route or road, but not having a family, not having kids, not being married has allowed me to be very selfish in that sense. Like, I don't know if that would have shifted or changed in a moment that I had kids or something where now I'm going to have to sacrifice my passion and what I love to do and get up every day to do something else so that I have this more secure sort of thing that works in this system, this world, right? Because I've never believed in it. I've just been like anti-money, anti-this, anti-that. I don't give it, I'm just going to do it my way. As long as I have enough, I'm rich. I'm completely rich in my life. And it's true. Like, I've been everywhere, and I'm heading to more places. After this, I'll be going to London, Australia, Poland, Russia. And now I'm just going to do these tours. That's my thing. I'll spend half the year based in Thailand, and the other half I'll be touring, and I'll be out there because I was always kind of not in the background, but I didn't want to get like, I didn't want to put myself out there. I didn't want to hear any of that crap. I didn't want to hear these little nut fleas on social media and these this peanut gallery shit, you know. Now I'm at an age where I don't give a shit about that. But if there's a fear, if I'm going to describe a fear,
yeah,
that would probably maybe a little bit more, you know, I'm in a hurry to get to stockpile a little bit of a security base so that I can sit back, and when I can't be in there, I can still enjoy it from a little bit further out in a comfortable lifestyle.
Where does the 70-year-old you live?
Mostly
6 feet on the ground.
Yeah, I might not make it that.
All right.
Partner.
Where does the 50-year-old you live?
I don't see myself, unless there's a major shift in the world, and it can happen, right? I think Southeast Asia is a really big part of me now.
That's your home.
And I like to come here, and I'm very patriotic, and I serve my country, but to be honest, I don't pay attention. You know, that's why, like Scott and I are talking about, we can actually talk about religion and politics and not kill each other. But it was difficult for me coming home, getting a little bit more into this whole thing, and turning on the TV set. I don't watch TV. I watch.
Did you know that Trump's the president now?
I do, but
can you believe that?
This is serious now. Like, when I heard about this, right, I thought it was like a Saturday Night Live thing.
A joke.
Right?
We did too, don't worry.
But then again, like, there's certain things I hear him say, and I'm just like, why do I like what this crazy man just said? Like, I'm being honest, like, there's some stuff I'm like, wow, this is what they need.
Yeah.
Because I'm not over there. I'm not going to say that I'm in the States and I'm over in Thailand on my little thing, and what affects me is, like, who comes in the gate that day, and it's very simple, you know. I don't get into news. I don't watch any of it. I don't watch it. You know, it doesn't. I don't feel the need to pick up a newspaper. So when I turn on a TV, it's to watch a fight or to, you know, and that's usually all fed to me through other people. Hey, you're gonna watch the UFC this weekend, Coach? You're gonna. Oh shit, that's on. You want
to keep that going, right?
Who's fighting? So that part of it I enjoy, but all the other stuff, it doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't concern me. It's just not in my world.
What other stuff? The money,
politics, religion, what's going on here. So unless there's a major shift where we're all in a state of war or whatever, I can't be in Thailand. I always see myself there for most of the year. Yeah. Because I realize the folks aren't going to be around forever. Yeah. I've got a limited amount of family here, right? Mm-hmm. But my dream would be to import all these bastards over there. Like, I would just start a village and just handpick my friends and people and be like, look, dude, you're living over here now. Because the thing about living overseas alone and doing this alone and just having students in my life, there's a part you miss. You feel like, I want to share this stuff, man. I want to share this with my boy. I want to share this with, like, my friends, but they're never going to get it. They're never going to see it. They're not going to understand it.
It doesn't seem like that hard of a sell to me.
You know? Oh, man, I've been selling this how long, Scotty?
Yeah, it's been a bit.
I mean, and
really?
You'd be surprised at how many people have gotten on a plane from this country and made that trip. It's a long way, I understand.
13, 14 hours?
We're not a country of travelers. We're a country that travels within the 50. Or we go to the Caribbean or Jamaica, right? Why would we leave this place? Right? I mean, we got mountains, we got all the climates, why would we go? This is the land. I mean, this is it. But for me, I'm just like, God damn, man, like, my house, what I pay, my expenses, I can have this crazy niche job, eccentric, you know. Hey, you can't make a living. Here I might be under the damn poverty level. There I'm doing really good. You know what I mean? Like, I can have massages, eat what I want, drink coconuts on the beach, cruise around like a little rock star. And I don't have to worry about the things that you guys have to worry about here. I mean, here it's, man, the stress that I see when I walk into this place of what's over your head, what's around you, all these material things that are just surrounded. And I can feel it just in a week of it pulling me back in. Like, yeah, you got to get some jeans, man. You got to get some new shoes. I live in flip-flops, man. And I go to law meetings and board shorts or dirty Muay Thai trunks. And nobody looks at me, you know, twice. But here, there's a lot of that pressure. It's a weird thing.
It is.
So
it's not good, and it's not good for us either.
no, but there's a lot of countries just wanting it, you know, and trying to do it, and they say all that shit, but they're you know, they got all our stuff. They want to dress like us. They want to act like us, but they want to talk shit about, you know, oh, the U.S. and this and that. And what I notice from being outside is that you're just not as traveled. When you travel and you live in a lot of different countries, like an Australian backpacker, the guys from London, I mean, they're encouraged to go and travel around the world alone. You know what I mean? And then after their studies, and all of a sudden they come back and they're worldly. They understand different things. They sat and squatted with people. They lived like that. They lived like this. They were open to where we're like, fuck that. It's our way or the highway. You know, you guys are a bunch of third world, blah, 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 you know, and it's...
Exactly. More humble.
It's just not educated, you know, it's just not right. So my dream would be to import these bastards over.
When's Scott coming over?
We've been talking about the whole... Since I got off the damn plane, we've been talking about
When are you
this.
making the big trip, Scott?
Yeah, it's it sounds great. We've talked about this before, but at the end of the day, until, you know, and I'll call Paul out on this because I know he hates to hear it. But you know, Neil too. You know, unless there's a me here who takes that mantle, then you can't do it. You know, because you're leaving all these people behind who expect you. You know, so you know, you got guys like Neil Johnson, and I love Neil, but you know, Neil can be more assertive, and he defers to me, and I love Paul. Paul's just a nice guy.
Let's just get Neil and Paul out there.
Yeah.
Let's just take the whole group.
You just need to have Neil and Paul. Neil and Paul need to have a baby.
Let's go.
Neil and Paul need to have a baby to merge the two.
You hear that? Work on it, guys. I don't know. Science. You might need to get science involved.
If you decide to do that, just kick that girlfriend my way. I'm here to the 30th.
Oh, that big, beautiful black girl.
Yeah,
dude.
Paul.
Where did you meet her? Wait a minute, Paul. Are you still watching?
Oh, I know he's still there.
Jealous.
Paul, what? Please tell me. Oh, Sean just got in. Sean
jumped off, man. I talked you up the entire time.
Come
dude,
on,
how
Sean.
beautiful that beard was.
It's messed up, dude. Okay, this conversation is taking an ugly turn. No, it's not. It's taking a big, beautiful,
No, this makes a lot of sense.
big,
dude.
beautiful turn.
Dude, you know, because I've seen you try to grow hair. Neil's got hair on his face too. You guys would have a beautiful kid.
Yeah.
And then Sean Douglas could have your
What a
girlfriend.
combo. Neil with the wrestling.
Yeah.
And Paul with like the striking thing. They just roll around for hours.
Yeah, Neil's got some
Punching
white
each
legs
other.
too, and Paul's got some darkness to him. Neil's got some extremely white legs. Yeah. No, I think I'm onto something here.
Do they know? Do they know?
Could you have like little monitors we can mush their face together and create their child?
Oh yeah.
Did they know what?
I'll do that.
Do they know what?
Do they know that you're looking at them to possibly do that?
Oh yeah, you know, I've had conversations.
Do they quickly change the subject?
You know, I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody wants.
Your position.
Yeah, you know, I don't think anybody
responsibility.
wants a life without me there at the top of it. But at the end of the day, at some point, it has to happen. And it has to happen for, you know, we talked about burnout and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's going to be a point where I'm not saying I'd give any of this stuff up, but I do need to walk away from it for a bit because it has become so much business. I don't love it as much as I used to. I need to love it again. You know, so I think sometimes you just need to walk away for something to appreciate the beauty in it. So do I know this needs to happen? Am I happy with the successes? Yes. But you asked me if I've trained myself for the last 7 or 8 years, and the answer is no, outside of hitting pads every now and again or getting on a bag or something. But outside of Thailand, you know, you're talking, a 20-pound weight cut in a month because I had the ability to go do it. You know, there wasn't a loss of passion when I got there. There was a loss of passion from coming back here and having to take care of everything.
The grind.
Yeah, it's the business aspect of things, not the sport. I love the sport. But unfortunately, as you grow and you get more numbers, and we get a new facility, the business goes with it. You have no choice, you know. So I love my people. I still love the sport. I don't love everything that goes with it, and it can be exhausting. So there's going to be a point where that happens. Paul's picked up a lot of the stuff. Neil's been doing a great job. Sean Reed has done a really good job on on the business side. There's been a lot of guys who have stepped up. You know, Pablo's coming into the mix. We get some really, really good guys who are ready, but they need to grab it and not be not look at me like I'm going to be upset with them for asking to do too much. If you ask with respect, you can have it. You know, you can be that next person.
Is this something that right now with them online listening, is this something that you think they feel like they've felt that before from you or heard that from you, or is this a revelation to them right now?
No, they've heard. I mean, there's been plenty of specifically for Paul and Neil, plenty of rides coming back from fights. And I'm like, man, this is what I want you guys to do. This is what I need you guys to do. You know, we've been grooming Pablo for a while. Sean Reed's been great, you know, but Sean's got his own things he's doing right now on the side. All these guys know what the end game is. You know, specifically, like I said, from the martial arts side for Neil and for Paul, they're the elder statesmen who they'll listen to them. But I'm still the heavy, you know.
So is it that their life situation is just they're not ready for it, or is it just, why do you think there is that reticence to not
do
that?
I think it's respect. You know, if Sean ever came to me and said, Scott, I want to step down and I want you to be the guy, you know, out here in Thailand, I do the same thing. I'd be like, nah, Thailand doesn't need me, it needs you. You know, so I think it's a respect factor.
Oh, yeah. You know, but to me, the big difference is, I feel like, you know, you see these guys, these big, you know, old martial artist guys, like old 70, 80-year-old guys who they step down, but they're still there. I mean, you go out and you do your Kwai Chang Kane, you go out on your pilgrimage, you freaking recharge like you're supposed to, and then, you know, you'll be back, maybe not in the same thing, but you're the grandmaster. I mean, you're always there.
There's no doing it like that. There really isn't, because to live in this area, you need to have, you know, your daily income that goes with that. You know, you're working close to the same field. Is your job going to give you 2 months off to go somewhere?
Oh yeah, good point.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
you're either all in or you're all out. You know, there's no middle ground to that.
We'll get them out soon enough.
I hope so. I
At
really
least
do.
part-time. That's what I'd like to see. A little, you know, few months out there.
I think it'll do you some good.
We'll see. Like I said, I'm not.
He's got a little house out there, and you know, he helped with a lot at Chalong Chai. Scott put money into that gym, and we had a deal that there'd be like a timeshare kind of situation built from that. And me and my wife split. Things went sideways. And a lot of people that put things into that, and I never forgot that. And now we've got a small house in Koh Samui. I'm keeping that place. It's on the island. It's beautiful. It's a spot for him to go to whenever he needs to.
Beautiful.
Relax and do his thing. So, or send his guys out there, whatever he wants to do with it, really. You know, I mean, when I want to come out every once in a while and get out of the city or near Pattaya and slow things down, we can use the house, you know. Mm-hmm. But that came from something that he put in a long time ago, a very long time ago.
I appreciate that. So I see Paul up there, and he's
not surprised, just not taking that mantle quite yet.
He's been saying that for like 6 or 7 years. Christina,
he's too busy apparently with these girls.
I know. Paul's going on these hot dates all the time.
Forget that, man. Like, I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah, dude, you don't even invite me to go anywhere. You got these dates.
What about old John showing up? Throw me a bone, man. You know, some of these girls got friends.
Christina Sames says, I can't imagine Disciple without you.
All right, listen, you can imagine because you moved to Denver, Colorado, wherever in Colorado.
Dare you.
Yeah, so
called you out.
Yeah,
that was a nice sentiment she gave you, and then you just
blasted her. See, that's why people love him too.
No, you can't even say that right now because you don't come see me at Disciple, so no.
Sean Ahern says, I feel so privileged to be learning from all of you. It's very comforting being in such good hands.
Yeah, Sean's the up and coming. I tell you right now.
Should we be watching this kid?
You know what? I think he's got. You know, I've said this before. I was talking about this a little bit earlier too, and him and Tyler Bunting right now are two of the guys I look at and I go, man, with the right mentoring and with the right progression, it's scary to think where these guys could go. So I'm curious to see what can happen. And this kid right here, he's just got that switch when he gets hit. You can tell bad stuff's going to pop off.
I took a look at his fight today. Scott was talking quite a bit about him. I've heard a lot. Am I going to meet you, Sean? Am I going to meet you before I leave?
How many days you got left?
Yeah, he should be there Wednesday.
I'm here until the 30th.
Okay.
So.
This is my first invite to Colorado, so thank you.
Yeah, Christina Same says, come to Colorado to Scott.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea. Good spot, I hear.
Yeah. Once again, I didn't leave, so
It's legal. It's illegal.
yeah.
Yeah, it's legal. So there you go.
Legal.
Yeah.
So plugs. What can we be plugging as far as? Okay, so let's start off with what you're doing here right now. What should people be planning to do?
Disciple MMA, Muay Thai and MMA. Be there. I've got a seminar. Scott, help me out.
It's Friday night during class time, normal class time from 7 to 8:30. It's going to be all clinch work and sweeps.
And you're giving guys, what's the deal to show up for the seminar?
It's only $25.
25 a head, and I'm out there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Anybody that's coming from the outside that isn't members, is that the same rate or is it more?
Yeah, I'll make
For
something up
non-member?
when they get there.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
I'm
give
$150 if you don't know.
And also, I am available for PT, so I've got some bookings, and Scott's helping me out with all that stuff.
Yeah. So anybody want privates, please hit me up.
Privates are the best. I actually just looked at one of my old privates with you, and literally it was.
It's still my interview because you cut me off.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, so anybody want privates, hit me up. We'll make sure he gets there. Myself or Cameron will make sure he gets out there and get some time with you guys.
And then BangkokFightHouse.com. Check it out. Bang House. Now we got some updates to do. You're going to look at the old Fight House. Those pictures are in Samoy. Once I get there back late January, we're going to do a little bit of a makeover to the facility, and you'll see all that updated. But we will be available for group training, private training, and I've got some world-class Thai boxing coaches out there that are holding the fort down. And then you will see a calendar on the website which will state the months and days that I will be in camp and that I will be touring. So I don't want to mislead anybody if you're coming out to see me or train with me, but I can tell you the guys that are teaching out of the camp are really, really good and amazing and qualified. They are Thais, and they come from the motherland, and they all have lots of knowledge on teaching and fighting. So, yeah, BangkokFightHouse.com.
Make it happen, guys. This is if you're even remotely interested in the combat arts, this is a treat. It's a deal, and it's one of those things that if you miss out on this, you may not realize it, but you're missing out on something that you had an opportunity to take advantage of. That's going to change you. It's going to change your game. Even just talking to you guys today, I feel like this podcast is going to change a lot of people, and how they look at martial arts. Especially nowadays with mixed martial arts and aggression and alpha male and all this other stuff. There's still the martial arts spirit and honor code, and there's guys that actually still uphold that, like you guys. So I hope that Scott gets some R&R on his Kwai Chang Kane. Get out there on his
Eat, pray, love.
Eat, pray. Boy.
Eat, pray, train.
I hope for you, Sean, that this is going to be the biggest and best thing. Like you're on to the next and the thing, because I feel like you're just so ready now. I thought you were ready before, but after hearing all these stories, you're like ready now. So I'm really excited about that.
Neil says he's coming out of retirement.
Oh, shiznit.
I
don't want no part of it, man.
I think he's going to take a nap as soon as he gets out of bed. Like he's going to get out of retirement and jump right back into it.
What is Neil, like 70 something now? Like how old is that guy?
Yeah, I think he's actually like 24, but he's got the body of a 70-year-old.
He is the most active geriatric I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that guy's amazing.
Yeah, he
is amazing.
I don't even know how he's still awake right now. To be honest with you, he came over a little earlier and.
Neil, when are you going to get out there, man, and start skateboarding again?
But he
Come on,
he looked
man.
like he was going to pass out then.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
He just woke up, maybe. Yeah. So I want to thank you guys.
Love you, Neil.
I'm really excited about what you guys are up to, and you guys answered it, but I wanted to ask you what you guys are hoping for in the future, like what you guys are looking forward to. I feel like I got that answer. So, is there anything that you guys just want to kind of the last thing you guys want to say before you're off doing what you're doing?
Cup, Kiting Makma.
There you go. Don't speak Thai. Screw you.
Yeah. No, I tell you, stuff like this here it helps out with, educating a lot of people, and I had a lot of good questions tonight, and I don't slow down enough, and Sean's not here enough to answer these things, and I know a lot of people, they come up and they go, or they don't come up, they see us as unapproachable, whether it's demeanor or rank held. So this kind of opens their eyes a lot to what goes on behind the scenes. The human aspect of being a coach, and it educates them a little bit as far as what they're getting into, the mentality that they're getting into, because you can't see that on a website. And this is real. This is what you get. This is the history. And to me, it's as this is respectful. This is as real. This is honorable as you can possibly get. I joke around. Sean jokes around, but at the end of the day, I know for a fact, any one of his students calls him, any one of my students calls me, we're flying across the pond, we're going wherever, and we're helping folks. I know people here that won't drive 30 minutes to help somebody. So, I know what the system's about. Hopefully everybody else does now, but I'm just happy everybody tuned in, and I'm thankful that you did this.
Thank you. All right, guys, that was... like I said, I promised you the best podcast we've had thus far. I want more. I don't know when you're coming back, but when you come back, please, Sean, make it.
You got this high tech, you can put me on Skype or something.
That is true. We could do the Skype thing.
And bring me back that way.
That is true.
Like Jedi, just show up in a little
hologram.
If I get your face on a screen, I'm defiling it.
Scott, put your pants back on.
I'm doing terrible stuff to it.
I didn't think we had that kind of relationship, man.
So if you guys like you heard the plugs already, CBD oil, very important. Fantastic job, everyone. Thank you, Paul. Disciple MMA Academy.com. Go check it out. Make sure that you are ready for real training. Bangkok Fighthouse.com. That's the thing that we're about to see explode with quality Muay Thai, real training for those of you that are real, that go out to Thailand. There are some of you out there that actually go to Thailand and train, and I respect you, and you're not going to be in any better hands than right here with Sean Douglas. Thank you guys for watching. This is episode 31, Righteous Anger Podcast.